Hello, hello. Participate into the ether. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are here on a new month and a new episode of Chasing Labels. This is episode number 149 or spy number 149, however you like to refer to it. Welcome. Welcome, one and all. We are, like I said, back here once again. Brand new month. It is officially the Halloween season for all of you who are enthusiastic about that. Welcome welcome. Um, uh, for those of you who are enthusiastic about that, um, congratulations. I, of course, am also excited about the Halloween season. I get very revved up about horror movies and horror collecting this time of year and all that kind of stuff. So I will be doing something of that very, very soon. But hello, hello. Welcome, Jeff. Welcome. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up. Hopefully, some others do um start sauntering in as we get started here. um yeah, so this will be a kind of a big episode. Once again, we are inundated with all of the end of the month cramming when it comes to the scheduling of all the boutique labels, trying to get out all of their announcements before the end of a specific month. This is September 2024, going into October 2024. Tonight, we're going to get into kind of a mixed bag of everything almost. It's gonna be interesting. Hopefully, it's not quite as long as we've had in the past. I'm trying to keep it under 3 hours. Hopefully, I know the last time we had a big end of the month episode like this, it went for quite a while. But yeah, we'll be getting into things like Arrow Video, Eureka, Warner Archive, Indicator had dropped, Umbrella dropped, Vinegar Syndrome and their partner labels, all kinds of stuff. But before we get into that, we've had some just sad news lately in the world of movies, in the world of celebrity life, and just the world of entertainment in general, with a couple of really sad passings. Um, two major ones that happened very quickly and have happened nearly back to back, and that is Maggie Smith and Chris Christopherson passing away. Maggie Smith, I know, being a big one for many people because she was in so many projects, movie, TV, theater, all kinds of things. A true thespian of our time. Just an amazing actress. She had been acting for decades upon decades. I have several of her things in my collection. Most prominently, of course, I think many of us in the millennial generation grew up with her in the Harry Potter films. She was in all 8 of those movies as Professor McGonagall, the head of the house, the Gryffindor in that film. Another one, John Ashton, good character actor, did pass away. Thank you, Jeff, for pointing that out. I almost nearly forgot. John Ashton, John Amos. It was just announced that he passed away. He actually passed away back in August, and it was just announced now. I guess, the family wanted privacy to deal with all of that, of course, because at the end of the day, these are all, human beings after all, and people with families and friends and loved ones. We tend to lose sight a lot of those things when it comes to celebrity culture. So it's nice to keep that in perspective. John Ashton, most specifically, I believe, was the police chief in, was it Beverly Hills Cop? Let me check. Yes, Beverly Hills Cop. He was actually just in the new Beverly Hills Cop film, Axel F. In that came out this year. Actually, he was actually in that. Coincidentally, I just bought. Let me grab it. I just bought Beverly Hills Cop for the first time. I just bought Beverly Hills Cop for the first time ever. I never had it on VHS, never had it on DVD, never had it on Blu-ray, and I bought the 4K. I need to get the others. I need to get Beverly Hills Cop 2, Beverly Hills Cop 3. Hopefully, the one that just came out on Netflix gets a physical release, but who really knows when it comes to Netflix? Sometimes they do, oftentimes they don't. Depends on who's producing it. So I got that recently. And then when it comes to Maggie Smith, got a few things here. Honestly, I don't have much in my collection. I did say I had a few things, mostly the Harry Potter stuff, which I have set aside over there. But her most recent critically acclaimed work, something that I discovered or kind of got into recently, was Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey. I know we don't talk much about TV on here, but I have Downton Abbey, the complete series. As you can see, the rainbow reflection off the cover. Um, this is the Downton Abbey complete series set. A little beat up. I bought it on eBay, and I can tell you the pictures that the listing showed, the box was not like this. It was definitely not like this. But all the discs play fine. Everything's fine. So I ended up watching the whole series, and then of course there's the two theatrical movies that we have now. We have Downton Abbey, the motion picture, right here, and we have Downton Abbey: A New Era. And there's going to be a third Downton Abbey film, which sadly Maggie Smith will not be in it. Um, but I'm pretty sure they may make reference to her character because her character was quite significant in this series. Um, she she was just she stole every scene she was in. She won so many Emmys and Golden Globes and all kinds of awards for that show. And I always loved how she never showed up to any of the award shows because she was always busy doing things that were more important to her, like acting and working, things like that. Truly one of a kind. Truly one of a kind. But Chris Christopherson was another one. Oh yeah, John Ashton was great in Midnight Run. Thank you, Jeff. I completely forgot about that. I have my copy of Midnight Run over there on my shelf. Uh, yeah, that's what a great movie. What an underrated movie, I think, to this day. So great. But Chris Christopherson, I grabbed a few things off my shelf from Chris Christopherson. Where did I put the others? Oh, they're here. They're here. Of course, I think many of my generation know him for being Whistler in Blade 2. I think he's in Blade Trinity as well. I wasn't sure, so I didn't bring it off my shelf. But he's mostly known for our generation for being in these films. But of course, if you go back in in one of our recent Unwatch Pile episodes, I watched Michael Cimino's um, Heaven's Gate. He is in this film, and he is one of the main characters in this film. Him, along with Christopher Walken, who is in this film as well. And yeah, this is an epic western from 1980. I talked a lot about this movie during the Unwatched Pile. Chris Christopherson did a lot of acting work in the 1970s and 1980s, and then subsequent decades. But I think really the best of his stuff was early on. Really, one of his earlier films was the Martin Scorsese film Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. This movie does not have a Blu-ray release. This is one of the last few Martin Scorsese films that needs a Blu-ray release. We just got, oh, where is it? Oh, I put it on my shelf already. We just got Bringing Out the Dead, which needed a Blu-ray release, and this one needs one too. Who's That Knocking at My Door is another one that needs a Blu-ray release. That's another Martin Scorsese film, but that's neither here nor there. Hopefully that happens eventually. Hopefully this happens soon. This is a Warner Brothers DVD. This is prime for a Warner Archive release. It really is. I don't know why it's taking so long to do this. It's Martin Scorsese. It's Ellen Burstyn, Chris Christopherson. It's the 1970s. I don't know why it's taking so long to happen. But yeah, I like this movie, but it's Chris Christopherson was a unique individual. He was, of course, most well known as a musician, but also known for his acting. He was a Rhodes Scholar. He was in the military as well. He was a political activist. A really truly unique individual, really was. Look up a lot of Chris Christopherson stuff if you can, if you haven't already. Let me set this stuff aside as the stacks get higher around me. So that is sadly the many people that we've lost over the last week or two or so. I know earlier in September, we had lost James Earl Jones. That was a big loss as well. A lot of people are passing in the entertainment world in general and just in the world in general. So with all this death around us, it makes you really appreciate life in general, I think. Or maybe that's just me. I have a lot of empathy. A lot of empathy. So, with that being said, let's get into all the stuff we've got tonight. Like I said, there is a Rolodex, a Rolodex of stuff. And so let me get into the individual stuff first, and then we'll jump into the slates and just sort of rock and roll here. So a couple of early stuff. We have two things from MVD. MVD had two announcements, and I believe that's our friend Eric Wilkinson over at MVD. I think he's still over there. I know he's been working on some stuff on his own, but I'm pretty sure he's still over at MVD. So from the MVD Rewind collection, they are preparing a Blu-ray release of Perry Lang's Men of War from 1994, starring Dolph Lundgren, Charlotte Lewis, B.D. Wong, Tony Dennison, and Tim Guinea. The release is scheduled to arrive in the market on December 10th. So the description is here. I've actually seen this movie. I think it's streaming on Tubi as of right now. But Dolph Lundgren, of course, starred in Rocky IV and Universal Soldier. Now he's back in the heart-stopping Men of War. Nick Gunner, Lundgren is part of a top-flight team of ex-Special Forces agents hired by ruthless conmen. Their mission to carry out a secret operation and overtake an exotic island that's loaded with precious jade. But once there, the agents, led by Lundgren, defect to defend the islanders against these savage attackers. It's nonstop action as Lundgren and his elite group wage war to defeat the deadly opposition at any cost. From acclaimed screenwriter John Sayles. That's right, John Sayles, I believe, wrote the screenplay for this, or at least a draft at some point. He, of course, did Lone Star and Eight Man Out and Mate One, which I happen to still have here in a pile around me because I haven't put them back on the shelf yet. But when I talked about them on an Unwatched Pile episode, thank goodness, 2 months ago now? Time moves by fast, people. Time moves by fast. It's yes. Oh, thank you, Jeff. I didn't even remember. Speaking of Chris Christopherson, yes, A Star Is Born, that with Barbara Streisand. Of course, the combining both their acting and musical prowess in that film. It's one of the several adaptations of A Star Is Born. Coincidentally, yeah, it's yeah. I was gonna say it's the one I don't have, but I also don't have the Judy Garland one either. I have the original from the 30s with Gloria Gaynor. I have that. I still need to get the one from the 50s with Judy Garland. The reason why I waited on that is it's the anniversary of its release this year, and I'm shocked that Warner Brothers hasn't announced like a 4K of it. Um, kind of surprised about that. I don't know what they're waiting for. We're in October. Where is my A Star Is Born 4K? I know they just announced North by Northwest. They announced the Terminator. I don't know what they're waiting on. But Chris Christopherson has a small role in Lone Star. So he's in this as well. But back to, the 1970s A Star Is Born is good. It's not my favorite of all of them. It actually may be my least favorite of all of them, but if I'm just thinking off the top of my head, and that's including the new one with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. But yeah, I need to go back and revisit. I need to get it. That's another one that I think needs a 4K re-release as well. We're coming up on the anniversary of that. I think in 2 years. I think it came out in 1976, if I recall. Let me just make sure. A Star Is Born. Yeah, 1976. So in 2 years, we're going to be getting an anniversary of that. Warner Brothers, get on it. Seriously. And as I was saying, Men of War is kind of it's a 90s action B movie starring Dolph Lundgren. Basically, they get hired to get rid of these natives on this island in, I believe, the South Pacific, somewhere around there. And it turns out that the people that hire them are the real bad guys. Like, those are the people that are the evildoers. They want to push indigenous people off their land to make money off of their natural resources. So Dolph Lundgren, of course, figures that out very quickly and decides to switch sides, brings a couple of the people that have also been hired to help out in defending the indigenous peoples of this land. That's the premise of that movie. It's a fun action from the 90s. It's a fun action from the 90s. Like I said, it can be found streaming on Tubi. But let me move on from there because there is another one that's put out by MVD. Yeah, MVD Classics. So MVD has a classics line, and they are preparing a Blu-ray release of Walter R. I believe Kichi's Cop Killers from 1973, starring Jason Williams and Bill Osco. The release is scheduled to arrive on the market on December 10th as well. This is a super duper low budget 70s movie where these two desperate criminals unleash a wave of violence after a daring prison escape. With law enforcement hot on their tail, the ruthless duo embark on a relentless crime spree, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake as the city spirals into chaos. It's not the stakes aren't quite that high. The movie is not quite on that scale. It's kind of like a Natural Born Killers, the Honeymoon Killers, um, something like that, but super low budget 1970s gritty fare here. It's basically just these two guys. They get pulled over by cops and they kill these cops because one guy's a hothead, one guy's more level headed. The hothead, of course, goes bananas and kills these cops. They take a young girl, they take a young woman hostage with them, and they kind of just travel the country. They travel the country trying to get away from law enforcement and commit crimes. That's the premise of the movie. It's like I said, it's a cult classic of the exploitations genre. That's very much what it is. There's an audio commentary here with Jason Williams and moderator Adam Trash. Interview with actor Jason Williams. That's 15 minutes long. Um, yeah, and that's coming out December 10th. Both of these two are from MVD. Moving along from there, there's another individual one I want to talk about, and this is from VCI Home Entertainment. They are preparing a collector's edition Blu-ray of Arthur Lubin's Impact from 1947, starring Brian Dunleavy, Ella Raines, Charles Coburn, Helen Walker, and Anna Mae Wong. That's who that was in that film. Okay, Anna Mae Wong is in this movie. There is an Anna Mae Wong a Blu-ray box set from Kino that came out a couple of years ago that I still need to get. Anna Mae Wong is an actress who her career started out early. She was an actress in I think going back to the silent era in the 20s and in the 30s, and unfortunately she was kind of relegated to a lot of typical stereotypical Asian roles in Hollywood. Unfortunately, when early on in her career, she was not that. So anytime I want to bring up Anna Mae Wong, I do because it's someone who's kind of somewhat lost in the murkiness of the golden age of Hollywood, which wasn't really great to people of color, minorities, things like that. But she is in this film in a small stereotypical role, unfortunately. This is supposed to come out in January of 2025. Movie is called Impact. So, millionaire industrialist Walter Williams has it all: power, money, success, and a supposed idyllic life with his young, beautiful wife, Irene. And what happens is he's kind of, he seemingly has the perfect life. He loves this wife. Unfortunately, she doesn't really love him in the same way, or at least to the same level. She's actually cheating on him and having an affair with somebody else, and she wants him out of the picture. So she gets her, I guess, boyfriend, side man, if you will, to accompany him on this road trip that he has in some way, shape, or form. I forgot how. And she basically wants to have him kill off her husband so that they can run away together. They're going to change their identities. They're going to change their names. He's supposed to meet her at like an airport motel, and they're going to get on a plane. And they're going to go away. But what ends up happening is it's botched. It's botched. The husband survives, and what happens is the boyfriend actually ends up dying. But what happens is the husband, not only does he get away, he kind of hides out in a small town. Meanwhile, the rest of the world thinks he's dead. Like he reads his own obituary in the newspaper. He hides out in a small town. He ends up getting like starting a new life for a few months and getting in a relationship with someone else. Not a relationship, but like getting a little flirtatious camaraderie going on with someone else, until one day he decides that he's got to like reveal himself once again. He's got to come back and pay his dues essentially. And Charles Coburn, I believe, is a police officer who is or a lawyer who is investigating the case or something like that. It was another film that I watched on Tubi. It was streaming on Tubi, I believe. Yes. Um, it's not a bad movie. I really liked it. I actually really liked it. So that is Impact from VCI. VCI puts out a lot of um, kind of off the beaten path classic movies. Not always in the best quality. Like they're not a classic flicks or some of these other brands that kind of put out classic movies, but they're putting out movies that we wouldn't see on Blu-ray any other way, really. So that is Impact. So moving right along, let me see what we're doing for time. All right, we're moving right along. I'm trying to keep it moving as fast as I can because there is so much to go over. But I'll end up getting sidetracked at some point. So let's get into a bit of the slates now. Let's get into the Shout Studios slate. If I did indeed pull it up, there it is. It's the Scream Factory and Shout Factory announced their December releases. This was a nice batch of releases. For those of you paying attention at home, those of you keeping track, these monthly releases from them, yeah, it's a lot of upgrades, but it's upgrades that I kind of surprised about. First up here is the Holdovers. Kind of a surprise upgrade. We only ever got this on Blu-ray. This is the movie that came out in 2023, directed by Alexander Payne, starring Paul Giamatti. This was one of my favorite movies of last year. We only got a Blu-ray release of it. There was no 4K of it. It's a movie that you don't really need a 4K of it necessarily, because it's a movie that's all about acting, dialogue. It's not a visual treat of a movie. I mean, there's some beautiful, shots of the school in the winter time. It takes place over a winter break, so there's snow on the ground and stuff like that. I guess that's going to pop in extra detail in the UHD format. But yet again, if you have the Blu-ray, I don't know if you necessarily need to upgrade here. Um, of course, this movie was very highly critically acclaimed. I thought it was one of the best screenplays of last year, in my opinion. I think Paul Giamatti gave one of the best performances. Divine Joy Randolph won the Oscar for this film. She was incredible in the film as well. Dominic Sessa, who played the young boy that Paul Giamatti's kind of looking after during this winter break. This was his first film he's ever done. This was his first acting job, and he was incredible in the movie. Really, one of the best movies I think of 2023. Highly recommended. Watch it any way you can, whether you got the Blu-ray, the 4K, stream it, whatever. Really great film. We don't have anything right now in the way of extra details when it comes to the special features. But for me, I just want the movie in general. So I may wait. I may wait because I don't own it at all, and I'll wait and see what the extras look like. I don't think the Blu-ray had much in the way of extras. Let me see who actually put the Blu-ray out. The Blu-ray was put out by Universal, so this is licensed out from Universal. Oh, I lied. There are some extra features. There are deleted scenes. There's an alternate ending. The cast of the whole Holdovers, which is about 10 minutes, where I guess you get a little bit of like kind of brief interviews from each members of the cast. Working with Alexander is a production designer Ryan Warren, Paul Giamatti, Divine Joy Randolph, and other members of the cast and crew discuss Payne's flexibility and adaptability to work with new locations and ideas. Runs about 8 minutes long. So this is the stuff that's on the Blu-ray. It may make a transition over to the 4K from Shout. I'm not quite sure. I hope it does, just to make it all inclusive, so you don't have to get 2 releases of this. But let's move on. Let me scroll back to. This is part of their Shout. Is it part of their Shout Select line? No, it's not. It's just straight up Shout. But what is part of their Shout Select line is Far and Away, which is getting a 4K UHD release. This is the Ron Howard film starring Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. They were married at the time. That's how far back this movie goes. They were married at the time, I think, for a few years. Um, Let me see when this came out. I think this came out in 1992. Yes, 1992. So this would have been after they had met and worked already on Days of Thunder, the Tony Scott film. But this movie has a Blu-ray release from several years ago, from Universal Studios. It has a Blu-ray release from 2014, and I remember this Blu-ray release when it came out, and I remember it being okay when it came to picture quality, and it had no special features whatsoever. That's what I do recall. And it does not. Many of you may have it in your collection. This could potentially be a worthwhile upgrade for those who are fans of the movie, for those who want it in better quality, for those who want special features. It really all depends on what comes with this. Um, I watched the movie for the first time. I didn't mind it. It's got its flaws. It's not particularly great. It's very melodramatic. For those of you who don't know the premise of the movie, a young man leaves Ireland with his landlord's daughter. So you've got Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman. They basically run away together to the United States. Takes place around 1892, 1893, late 19th century, and they're essentially Irish immigrants, and their dream is to own land during a big giveaway in the Oklahoma area in 1893. This is actually a historical event where basically large swaths of land were given away to people. They just had to like show up to this race to claim it. Basically, everybody would go out and have this flag, and they would claim a large amount of acreage of land in Oklahoma. Of course, by this point, all of the indigenous peoples, I think, were moved off this land by the various governments at the time and given away essentially. It's filmed in 70 millimeter, so the cinematography in the movie is really fantastic. It's in CinemaScope, which is it's in 2:1 aspect ratio, shot in 70 millimeter. I think it was the first time a movie had been shot like that in like 10 years. I think since the first Tron film, which was what, 1982, I think. Um, so yeah, this movie kind of brought that cinematography back into production. But yeah, gorgeous looking movie. It's a Ron Howard film, so I've got to get it. I have a Ron Howard section in my collection. Always been a big fan of Ron Howard's work. Um, but Tom Cruise is and Nicole Kidman are fine in it. Their accents, they drift in and out. They drift in and out. Nicole Kidman, obviously from Australia. Tom Cruise is from here. So they're both trying to put on an Irish accent that's not native to the way they talk, and they struggle with it. They struggle with it. Nicole Kidman, I think, to this day, kind of still struggles with that a little bit. I see her accent coming through in a lot of her more recent roles, but that's just me. So that's Far and Away. Moving on from Far and Away, we've got another box set. This is Golden Harvest, Volume 2, Shining Stars. And I know they've already announced Golden Harvest Volume 1, which was, actually, let me look that up. I believe it was their, like, sci-fi, Supernatural Shockers. That's what it was. Yeah, Supernatural Shockers, which was 6 movies, 8 cuts. That was coming out in November, and then they have this Golden Harvest box set Volume 2 coming out in December. And this is a larger box. This is a much larger box. It is 8 movies, 9 cuts, and the 8 movies are the hold on, let me scroll back up. Oh yeah, Beach of the War Dogs, When Taekwondo Strikes, The Skyhawk, Shaolin Boxers, Slaughter in San Francisco, Legacy of Rage, which stars Brandon Lee. Interesting. Um, and then The Master, and then the last movie here is Hitman, which I believe stars Jet Li. Yes. So that is that box set here. I haven't seen these films, so I'm not really familiar with them. But um, similar to what we've been getting, uh, from Shout. They put out all those Shaw Brothers sets last fall, and actually last summer into last fall. They're putting out Golden Harvest box sets now this fall. So plenty of plenty of that cinema to go around, really. The problem with Shout and the problem with these box sets specifically is that they are not cheap. These Shaw Brothers sets are not cheap. Um Like I've looked into trying to start collecting them, and they're over $100 a piece. They are not cheap to get all of them, and they put out quite a few. And then of course these Golden Harvest sets, I think are going to be probably around the same price wise. So yeah, a lot to buy, not enough funds. Isn't that always the case? Isn't that always the case? Um, yeah, I believe Jeff. I've never imagined Tron was shot in 70. I read that somewhere. Oh, was it on Letterboxd? Let me actually let me actually look at IMDb. I think it was in the IMDb trivia for Far and Away. Let's see. That is not helpful. Of course, a bunch of things pop up when I go to look for them. Let me see. Interesting. It was also the first film to use Super 65 millimeter format as well. Since the first feature since Ryan's Daughter in 1970 to use Super 65 millimeter, it would not be used again until Hamlet in 96, the Kenneth Branagh film, and again for The Master in 2012. Wow. That's fascinating. Let's see. No, it's not in here. Where did I read that? Maybe I read it on the Letterboxd. I could just Google what Tron was shot in. I don't know why I'm always taking the. Let me see. What film? What's interesting is they're making another, 65 millimeter Super Panavision. Yeah, so 65 millimeter Super Panavision shot with Tron was shot in. That's interesting. So I was a little off, but yeah, I think it was that's fascinating. I never thought of those things. I used to be really into like what each film was shot in and stuff like that. I used to be interested in what cameras were used to shoot each film. There was a website I used to go on. It was called like "What's That Shot On" or something. Oh, I don't even remember if the site even exists anymore. And it would tell you like the cameras that were used to make the movie, the film stock that was used and stuff like that. Whether it was digital, whether it wasn't digital, whether it was film versus digital, and all this kind of stuff. Um, I know on IMDb they kind of show those things now a little bit, but not they don't get too technical with it. But let me move on from there. So where was I? Let me go back. Sorry, I'm a little frazzled. Okay, so Silent Night, Deadly Night is getting a 4K UHD release. The, you know, combination horror Christmas themed film. Um, Ted is getting a 4K release. I've got Ted and Ted 2 on Blu-ray already, so that's going to be interesting. The Ted TV series, which just came out, uh, it already has a Blu-ray release. So I kind of want to get that just because my OCD is going to make me have to get all of it. That's the one thing I have as a collector is if some franchise has if there's like movies and TV, I got to get the movies and the TV. If there's like 10 movies in the franchise, I got to get them all even if they're crap. I'm one of those types of collectors. But next up here, speaking of collections, Wallace and Gromit: The Complete Cracking Collection. Um, this is an interesting release. This is a kind of massive release. There's more details on this and what this has in store. Let me go on to I know on their Facebook page they showed a lot more. Let me go to over to the disconnected because our buddy Ryan always posts about these things, and he always posts all the breakdowns. It keeps me from having to go to the other like main sites to find all the information on it. Meanwhile, there's a lot of things that were announced today. I can tell you that. Let's see. There's already pre-orders actually up for all of these things as well on Amazon. Um, for those of you interested. So they wasted absolutely no time in getting these pre-orders up. All right, I'm scrolling past so many different things. So, yeah, the one thing with Wallace and Gromit is I've seen the 4 major short films. I haven't seen there was a TV series, and of course there's Shaun the Sheep, which is a spin-off of Wallace and Gromit. There's been Wallace and Gromit films recently, or there's been 2 Shaun the Sheep films. I remember correctly. I know a lot of people are big fans of I love the stop motion animation, the claymation stuff. That stuff has really always been my bag. I don't know. I love the artistry of it. Here we go. I finally found it. Let's see. Did I scroll past it already? Oh no, here it is. Here it is. So I want to make sure to talk about this. So yeah, the Wallace and Gromit Complete Cracking Collection includes all 4 short films, Cracking Contraptions, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, 24-page book, and a color form set of characters. It comes in like this box type collector's edition. And yeah, you get the Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, which is the 85-minute movie. You get the 27-minute movie, Cracking Contraptions. You get, like I said, the 4 shorts, new restored masters in 4K, new restored audio. I don't know if this comes with everything. I know recently they put out. Oh my goodness, what did they put out recently? They put out a Wallace and Gromit complete series set. Yes, they did. Oh no, they put out a complete cracking Blu-ray set. So it's kind of that Blu-ray set in 4K form, but with more bells and whistles. Yeah, even back in 2009, they put out a Wallace and Gromit complete collection. But anyhow, I'm gonna wait and see what people are saying because I know there were some things missing from the set. I think there were some audio things that were missing because of rights issues or something like that. I don't know. I didn't really dive deep into it because once I start diving deep into things, I get obsessed over it, and I don't have that mental energy to do that. I gotta pace myself. But yeah, this is something I'm definitely eyeballing because I've always wanted to get like a Wallace and Gromit set, and in 4K. I'm always up for animation in 4K. But moving on from there, Riddick, the I was gonna say it's the 3rd theatrical or feature length Riddick film. There is a short animated film in between Chronicles of Riddick. Oh no, maybe not in between Chronicles of Riddick. I think it's in between Pitch Black and Chronicles of Riddick. There's an animated film. Anyway, there's an animated film in there. But Riddick is the one that came out back, I think, 2013. I have this on Blu-ray. I never watched it actually. And this is getting a 4K UHD release. There's 2 cuts of the film. What's interesting is that Arrow already has Pitch Black in 4K and Blu-ray, and they've got Chronicles of Riddick, which they just came out with, on 4K and Blu-ray. Like that just came out last week, I think, maybe the week before. I know because it came out during the Barnes & Noble 50% off Arrow sale, which I ended up getting a few more things from. Don't know where I put them. Here they are. Move this aside. So I ended up getting like you guys saw last time, the Mexico trilogy, but I also got American Gigolo, speaking of Arrow, and The Threat. So I picked up these 2 as well as some others. And I'm gonna post them on my Instagram, and maybe I'll do a quick shorts, just kind of recapping all of that stuff that I ended up getting during that sale. I also went because they're having a 50% off Kino Lorber sale now. at Barnes and Noble, so check their website. If you have the local store, check there as well. You never know what you're gonna find. I found 6 movies in my local store Monday night. I was surprised about that. But like I was saying, they have Arrow has Pitch Black and they have Chronicles of Riddick. Um, and I guess they couldn't get the third Riddick film. They couldn't get the third Riddick film to complete the Arrow Riddick trilogy, if you will. Uh, Unfortunately, that's the case. I guess that happens. Um, but yeah, Riddick is this is the third film. Um, I remember when it came out. They got David Towie back to direct it, who directed the first film. Um, this starred Vin Diesel. I know Katie Sackhoff was in the film. Dave Bautista was in the movie. Bokeem Woodbine. I still have to watch it. I still haven't seen it. Um, yeah, I think David Towie did Chronicles of Riddick as well. Oh yeah, and that animated film was called Dark Fury. Came out in 2004, and in the same year that Chronicles of Riddick came out. So I think it was kind of like a prequel to Chronicles of Riddick to kind of tell you what happened between Riddick and Pitch Black to where he was in Chronicles of Riddick. I've always thought that series is kind of underappreciated and overlooked, if you will. Obviously Vin Diesel went on to do Fast and Furious, and that's his franchise. That's what his big moneymaker is now. I think that's his only moneymaker, really, if you think about it. What are they, like 10, 11 movies into that franchise? And then they're still going. But yeah, so that's Riddick. Let me see what we've got past there. Rock and Roll High School is getting a 4K UHD release. Holy heck. Rock and Roll High School has been released on Blu-ray. It's been given a steelbook release from Shout Factory, and now it is getting a 4K UHD release. I'm super excited about this because I've been wanting to add this movie to my collection. It's an Alan Arkush film. This is a great kind of uh not 80s, it's 1979. But it's a kind of a cult high school teen angsty film where yeah, it's Vince Lombardi High School has quite a reputation. It's the wildest, most rockin' high school around. That is until a thug of a principal, Miss Togar, comes along and tries to make the school a totalitarian state. With the help of the Ramones, the students of Vince Lombardi battle Miss Togar's iron-fisted rule and take their battle to a truly rockin' conclusion. PJ Souls is in the movie, Vincent Van Patten, Clint Howard, the Ramones make an appearance in the movie. Yeah, it's Rock and Roll High School. You kind of have to watch it, but it's very much a cult film of its time. But I've kind of always dug it since I've seen it. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 is getting a release. I've only ever seen the first movie, and I thought it was so bad I couldn't bring myself to see the second one. It was literally, I think, the worst movie of the year I saw it. Like the concept is interesting, but the movie had nothing to show for it whatsoever. Yeah, not a big fan. These are all coming out December 10th, by the way. Forgot to mention that. Next is a big one. Aguirre, the Wrath of God, the Werner Herzog film. The Werner Herzog film. This has been released by Shout, I think, in their Werner Herzog box set, as well as individually. I have it individually, and I've always wanted to get their Werner Herzog box set, Volume 1 and Volume 2, but the BFI put out a Blu-ray release in the UK of a Werner Herzog box set with better quality masters for those films. Unfortunately, both of those box sets, the Shout set and the BFI set, had different movies, so they weren't direct crossovers with one another. So, in my indifferent self, I haven't gotten either of them, and I have a huge Werner Herzog hole in my collection that I need to fill eventually. But this is interesting. Giving this movie a 4K UHD release is fascinating because this movie is all really visuals. Gonzalo Pizarro orders a small Spanish expedition of 40 men to search for El Dorado, leaving the mountains of Peru and going down the Amazon River in search of gold and wealth. Soon they come across great difficulties. Don Aguirre, a ruthless man who cares only about riches, becomes their leader, but will his quest lead them to the Golden City or to certain destruction? The film stars Klaus Kinski in the role of Aguirre. And this movie's just a trip into the jungle of madness. It is a trip into the jungle of madness, deeper into this sweaty, suffocating jungle of South America. And these people are just kind of slowly losing their minds because they're trying to find this mysterious, legendary gold city of El Dorado. And they just, will they find it? Will they not? Who knows? Who knows? Uh, check it out. Check it out if you haven't already. Out of all of Werner Herzog's films, it's one of his most accessible. Um, but yeah, I was gonna say, Jeff, you're probably right. I bet that set is on the expensive side. Knowing Shout is probably very expensive. And all of these I think are coming with website exclusive collector's editions where I think you get like a poster or something like that. That seems to be what Shout Factory does very with all of their releases, most of their releases, I shouldn't say all, but you get an exclusive website poster that sell out pretty quickly. They sell out very quickly. So let me move on from there. That is Aguirre, The Wrath of God. I know they're putting out. Oh, here we go. They're also putting out. Oh yeah, The Gift. The Gift. They're putting out a 4K UHD of The Gift. Golden. Cape Blanchett is in The Gift. This is a Sam Raimi film from the year 2000. A lot of like 90s and early 2000s Sam Raimi stuff is coming out lately in good editions, so I'm really happy about that. And this is one starring Cape Blanchett. This movie was written by Billy Bob Thornton, or he was a co-writer on it. The stars, like I said, Cape Blanchett, Giovanni Ribisi, Keanu Reeves, Katie Holmes, Greg Kinnear, Hilary Swank. I think Jim Jacks was the producer on it. A woman with extrasensory perception is asked to help find a young woman who has disappeared. So yeah, this is the movie where Cape Blanchett has ESP and she can kind of see things. She has visions of things. Let me get a better description of the movie than that because it's been a few years since I've seen it. Let's see. Check on Letterboxd and to get a better description. Annie Wilson, young widow and mother of 3, makes her living foretelling others' futures. Though her own has become cloudier than even she can see, threatened by a client's violent husband and plagued by visions of a missing local woman, Annie finds herself pulled into a thicket of lies and deception in which her extraordinary gift may ultimately get her killed. Yeah, it's kind of a 2000 thriller, if you will, starring Sam Raimi. So moving on from there, you go back to where I was before. We've got The Faculty. Finally, they're officially announcing The Faculty coming out December 17th. This has been soft announced and rumored for months now. We've talked about it on Chasing Labels in the past. We weren't sure when it was coming, but we knew it was coming. And it is indeed coming. We did get a list of special features for it, and the special features are kind of lacking, unfortunately. I really wish we would have gotten more in the way of features. I think there's only like 2 features on it. Let me scroll up and yeah, let me scroll and see. So we've got, of course, a new 4K restoration, which is the main thing for me is this movie's finally getting some type of deluxe remaster, some type of deluxe visual quality release. And it's presented in Dolby Vision. It's from the original camera negative. The special features are the Think from Another Classroom, an interview with special effects, makeup, and creature effects artist Greg Nicotero. And then another new feature here is Too Cool for School, an interview with production designer Carrie White. That's it. No audio commentary by Robert Rodriguez. No interviews with any of the cast. Because this movie had a great cast. You know, Elijah Wood, Jordana Brewster is in there. I'm surprised. Salma Hayek, Clea Duvall, Robert Patrick. Well, yeah, Famke Janssen, Josh Hartnett. I mean, Josh Hartnett's still doing things. I don't know why we couldn't have gotten an interview with him, but that's unfortunate. I'm still gonna get it though. Still gonna get it. Um, So let me move on from there. I think, is there anything else left on this list? Or was that about it? Yep, and this is coming out. Oh, The Dead Don't Hurt. The Dead Don't Hurt is coming out December 3rd, and this is a film directed by Viggo Mortensen. It's a Western that came out this year. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know if it's good or not. All I know is that Viggo Mortensen, he wrote it, directed, and stars in it. So does Garrett Dillahunt, Vicky Krieps, Danny Houston's in the movie as well. That's all I really know about it. It says set in the 1860s, the film stars Krebs as officially independent French Canadian Vivienne Lecouty, who embarks on a relationship with Danish immigrant Holger Olsen, who is portrayed by Viggo Mortensen. That's it. That's all I know about it. So that is Shout Factory. So let's move on. Oh, yeah, maybe. That would be interesting if I had Kinski stickers. So let's move on from there. Let me look at my notes. So we did Shout. Let's go over to Indicator, because Indicator only has 2 announcements. So we can keep it relatively short after that kind of long-winded one. So 2 releases from Indicator. These are coming out. Oh, when are these coming out? December. They're coming out. I think they're both coming out on December 10th. December 10th seems like quite a hot day. Yeah, at least December 10th here. So it's Requiem for a Vampire. It's getting a Blu-ray in both the United States and the UK. It's getting a 4K, and I believe 4K is region free, so you can get it either place. And there is going to be a Blu-ray in the US and the UK and a 4K as well for The Escapees. And these are both Jean Rollin films. So if you've been wondering if we are getting any more Jean Rollin, yes, we are. Your answers have been given. So Requiem for a Vampire, these are both interesting Jean Rollin films. I got to watch both of them. It says here, Jean Rollin continues his unique exploration of vampire genre with Requiem for a Vampire, featuring a cast of Rollin's regulars, including Marie-Pierre Castel, who was in Shiver of the Vampires, Muriel Dargent, who was in Lips of Blood, and Louise Dore, who was in The Escapees. When Marie and Michelle, 2 enigmatic women traveling through the countryside in clown costumes, stumble across a mysterious chateau. They uncover a sadistic vampire sect, the leader of which offers them eternal life to continue his bloodline. That's the premise of the movie. And the movie is, in typical Jean Rollin fantastique fashion, has sex and nudity and blood and horror and fog machines and vibes, all of that stuff. Really, coincidentally, that release would have been perfect to watch during the month of October, during Halloween season, because the movie is just like dripping Halloween vibes. You know, you got vampirism, you got all those other things going on in it. Truly, all Halloween stuff. And that's Requiem for a Vampire. I liked it. I mean, but I'm kind of, I like the Jean Rollin vibes. You gotta know what you're getting yourself into with Jean Rollin. You gotta know what the fantastique is. You gotta know his style. You know it's going to be, there's going to be some type of exploitation in there. It's going to be sexually uncomfortable at times. There's going to be nudity for the sake of nudity. All this kinds of stuff. It's fascinating. Really is fascinating. But the next film, The Escapees, is rather different. You know what I mean? It's rather different than Requiem for a Vampire. But before I go into that, in terms of special features, there's an audio commentary here with film historian Troy Haworth and Nathaniel Thompson. Selected scene audio commentary with Jean Rollin himself from 2005. Jean Rollin introduces Requiem for a Vampire from 98 in a silent way, which is a 2004 2024 special feature, newly edited archival interview with Jean Rollin, in which he discusses Requiem for a Vampire, one of his personal favorite films, Queen of the Underworld from 2024, a newly edited archival interview with actor Louise Dore. Wow, that's incredible. Pastoral Dalliance, newly edited archival interview with actor Paul Bisi Bisiglia, La Frison du Requiem, who an in-depth documentary on the making of Requiem for a Vampire by Roland's personal assistant Daniel Gouillet, featuring interviews with key Roland associates. It goes on and on here. The Poetry of Strangeness, critical appreciation by author and film historian Virginia Salevi. The Last Book. Wow, this is a stacked release. This is it here. The Last Book, Roland talks about his works as a novelist and reads from one of his short stories. Yeah, it's a stacked release. Um, there's 10,000 copies, 6,000 um 6,000 4K UHDs and 4,000 Blu-rays for the UK and US markets. World premiere on 4K UHD, damn straight. 80-page book included in here as well. Yeah, it's a region-free release. Going all out. Going all out. The 4K is region free. I'm only looking at the 4Ks because that's what I will be getting. The Escapees. The Escapees. Let's see. From 1981. The other one was, I think, from 1974. Let's see. Requiem for a Vampire came out in 1972. I was close. I was close. But The Escapees, let's see. 1981. Between the dystopian paranoia of the Night of the Hunted and the visceral excesses of the Living Dead Girl, director Jean Roland takes a surreal detour into the Parisian demi-monde with The Escapees, also known as Les Pommes du Petit Matin. When two young women, the wayward Michelle and withdrawn Marie, escape from an asylum, they find themselves drifting through a nightmarish world of burlesque troops, lascivious sailors, and hardened criminals. After a violent confrontation, the police close in. So once again, you're not really here for the narrative. You're not really here for the plot. You're here for the vibes. That's Jean Roland. That's his thing. And this movie is very much like that, but more straightforward. You're taking kind of a step back from the fantastic. You don't got the fog machine going to 11. You don't got the world of horror. You kind of just got these two women drifting through the countryside, encountering all kind of weird people and things. And then what's going to happen at the end of it all, really. But when we have what we have for special features, audio commentary with film expert Tim Lucas, One Day in Paris, far-reaching interview with Jean Roland, and which he discusses the escapees in his other films. Quant à Louis, regular Roland collaborators Natalie Perry and Jean-Pierre, oh boy, that's a name, Bouillot. Remember actress Louise Dorr, previously unseen interview with actor Jean-Luc Philippe, critical appreciation by author and musician Stephen Thrower. That's kind of cool. We've seen his name pop up on a few things. And then that's about it. There's an image gallery here, but then that's it. There's an 80-page booklet here as well. It's the same numbers as the other ones, 10,000 individual copies. But yeah, not quite as stacked as the other film was in terms of special features, but still an interesting package. Still an interesting package. So that is it from Indicator. That is it from Indicator for December. Moving along here. I like how we get Jean Roland for Christmas. It's like last year I got 2 Jean Roland films for Christmas. I made a Jean Roland Christmas. I guess I'll be doing that again this year. But what do we have here for commentary? Jeff says, I just got Night of the Hunted by Roland today from the Kino fall sale. Awesome. Let's see. Let's move on to. Let's see. We did Indicator. We talked about Shout. Let's go to Umbrella. Why not? Let's take a trip down to Umbrella. So Umbrella has their January titles. They're ahead of the game. So we've got a group of films here: Metal Skin, Creep, Severance, Hounds of Love, and Lars and the Real Girl. All releases will be available for purchase on January 15th. So Metal Skin is directed by Jeffrey Wright, not the Jeffrey Wright that we all know of. Different Jeffrey Wright. This is the guy who directed Romper Stomper. And I believe this is his follow-up to the movie Romper Stomper, because Metal Skin came out in 1994. Yes, 1994. And it's a movie. Psycho Joe, a petrol head from Altona, Melbourne, secures employment at a local supermarket. Here he meets the oversexed Daisy. Daisy is portrayed by Ben Mendelsohn, young Ben Mendelsohn in this film. Joe and Daisy form a friendship based on a mutual interest in old hard cars. Joe also forms a relationship with a satanic fellow employee. The nihilism of these young characters, coupled with parental disputes, leads to various tragedies. So it's a movie that is it's fascinating. Um, it's relatively low budget. It's not dealing so much with a lot of heavy plot stuff. Not heavy plot stuff, but not dealing with a lot of plot things, but kind of heavy plot things of kind of, I don't know, like kind of relative lost youth and the negative effects of that. Also dealing with the effects of, not having a strong parental role model, not having strong parental structure, and what that can do to one, and what other kind of mental health issues that can lead to. Specifically in the Psycho Joe character, as they call him, he's dealing with having to live with a father who has, I think he's got some type of brain damage type of thing going on, due to some type of accident. So he has to deal with that, and he's not really dealing with it in the best way. He's also dealing with a lot of unrequited love things with, like I said, like the description said, the woman who is a Satanist that he works with, who he has kind of a relationship with, kind of doesn't. She's actually more interested in the Ben Mendelsohn character, who's in a relationship with another woman, who he's cheating on, like, chronically throughout the movie. These are just like a lot of gray characters kind of drifting through life, not really focused on anything, and they're not really, good people. They're just kind of living. But like I said, the film is very much nihilistic in its approach to all of this. And it's also nihilistic in terms of the way it explores its themes. It doesn't really dive into a lot of these themes that I'm talking about. The movie just kind of drifts from one to another in a very laissez-faire way. And I think that's the whole point of the movie. I would be curious if other people get a chance to see it. It's called Metal Skin. Um, I want to see if it's streaming anywhere. How did I watch it? Let me go check my diary on Letterboxd. Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. Ah, there it is. Metal Skin, 1994. Jeffrey Wright. It is streaming currently on Freevee and Tubi and the Roku channel. I think I watched it on the Roku channel. So that is Metal Skin. Let's move on to the next film. Ah, there it is. I had to find the tab. Yeah, like I said, got a new restoration by the Umbrella Entertainment. It's got an audio commentary with the writer and director Jeffrey Wright, and with producers and composers. There's a new 2024 Q&A with the director and the producer. Filmed at Fantastic Fest Film Festival. That's kind of cool. There's original 1995 interviews on it, and of course, in typical Umbrella style, you can get a collector's edition that has extra swag that goes along with it. Like a 48-page book, a rigid case, slip case. It's got art cards. They usually do this for all of their releases. You can get a regular edition. You can get the collector's edition. For Creep. Creep is an interesting movie, kind of, starring Franca Potente, who is in Run Lola Run, and she's also in The Bourne Identity. Um, and I've always been a fan of Franca Potente. This is a kind of a low budget horror film. Reminded me a lot of Midnight Meat Train. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that movie, but once I read the description, you may kind of understand what I'm saying. This is directed by Christopher Smith, who has two movies that's getting released from Umbrella during this slate. So, London, midnight on a cold winter's evening, unable to find a taxi in West End, Kate, Franca Potente, heads for the underground. Slightly tipsy, she waits for the last train but drifts off to sleep and awakens to find everybody else is gone. Gripped by panic, she attempts to leave the station. She realizes she has been locked in. Is that a common occurrence? I don't travel through train stations really ever in my life. Especially when it comes to this is like underground subway systems and stuff. Do they close and do they lock people in? I gotta know that because that seems incredibly frightening, incredibly frightening. Um, and so she's locked in this subway system. Then a train pulls into the platform and she boards, somewhat unnerved as she is the only passenger. Her relief is finally, yeah. As the train moves on, she's like relieved. But Kate is about to face the first in a series of terrifying events, ones that will shatter her nerve and sheet composure. Testing her endurance to the limit, she is not alone in the maze of nooks and dark crannies. Lurking in the pitch black maze is something unimaginable, something that calls a hidden laboratory home, and that is the creep, essentially. So there is this underground creature that is murdering people living in the catacombs of the subway system. That's the movie Creep. Um, yeah, so we're getting an audio commentary with director Christopher Smith. There's a new interview with director Christopher Smith. There's a new interview with the producer, Julie Baines. There's new Mind the Gap, A History of British Locomotive Horror, a visual essay by Jared Gain? Gahan? Sorry, I probably butchered your name. There's archival interviews here. There's a Making of Creep featurette. Once again, you can get a collector's edition with a 48-page book. And then next is Severance. This is the other Christopher Smith film. Severance is a darkly comedic horror thriller that blends office politics with a deadly game of survival. So venture out for buckets of corporate carnage with this darkly hilarious manhunt, featuring a similar satirical British sucker punch as Shaun of the Dead. That's kind of how it feels. S- Um, During a team building retreat in the mountains, a group of sales representatives are hunted down one by one with razor sharp humor and intense suspense. Severance is an unpredictable thrill ride that balances satire and scares, delivering a unique twist on both the slasher and workplace comedy genres. So, yeah, this group from this company are going on like this, I don't know, work retreat, if you will, into the woods, and they basically get stuck there and have to survive because somebody is killing them one by one. It's a slasher movie. It's a slasher movie. Once again, we're getting some new interviews here. We've got an interview with writer director Christopher Smith, interview with actor Andy Nyman, the Making of Severance featurette, a bunch of other featurettes here. Well, actually, a lot of featurettes. Holy heck! And an alternate ending as well. Once again, collector's edition with 48-page book, other goodies in there. Next, we have Hounds of Love. So this is an Australian horror film. Perth, the summer of 1987, teenager Vicky Maloney is kidnapped by John and Evelyn White, who prowl the streets of suburban Perth looking for their victims. Held prisoner in their suburban home, Vicky watches the twisted couple, knowing that she has to exploit any opportunity if she is to survive. This is based on a true story where a couple actually abducted, girls and tortured and killed them. That's the premise of the movie, and this is actually the true story of the one that survived, and that's the movie. It's dark, it's grim, it's uncomfortable, it's unpleasant. It's I don't know how a movie like this would be pleasant at all. It's not. It's a messed up movie. It's a messed up movie. It'll get under your skin. It'll disturb you, disturb me. So it's rather grim in that regard. It's straightforward, right in your face. It's not like a torture. It's not like like a torture porn type of thing. It's not like that extreme filmmaking of the 2000s and whatnot. But it's still graphic enough to really disturb you. Um, so yeah, let me move on from there. Let's see, Hounds of Love. Um, yeah, it's getting. Before I move on from there, sorry everyone, I keep saying that. It's got two new audio commentaries, one with the director, one with critic Simon Morado. Tall Tales and True Hounds of Love in the Australian Crime Cinema, video essay by Travis Johnson. Got an interview with, it's got three interviews actually here. It's got a short film, two short films actually. Wow, hello. Um, cool, lot of interesting special features on here. 48-page book in the collector's edition as well. That seems to be their magic number. The 48-page collector's booklet for this film that I do want to mention has essays by Alexandra Heller Nicholas, our friend here on Chasing Labels. So that's why I want to make sure to mention that as well. Probably should have gone back and I think that's yeah. The other booklets that I've mentioned do not specify who's written, other than the one for Metal Skin. It has essays by Nadine Whitney and director Jeffrey Wright. Other than that, the other ones don't specify who is written in the essays in them. But this one for Hounds of Love is written by Alexandra Helen Nicholas and Andrew Pierce as well. Next is Lars and the Real Girl, the movie starring Ryan Gosling. It's the famous Ryan Gosling and the sex doll film. And you may say that, and you may think to yourself, "Wow, wow, that sounds kind of creepy and kind of mortifying and whatnot." It's not quite a sex doll; it's more of like a life size doll of someone, not even of someone. It's you got to see the movie to understand it. Let me read this here. So, when Lars Lindstrom, Ryan Gosling, introduces his brother Gus, portrayed by Paul Schneider, underrated actor. I don't know where his career's gone, but I used to see him in a lot of things. Another underrated actress here is Emily Mortimer, who plays Ryan Gosling's sister-in-law. So you got Ryan Gosling, Paul Schneider, and Emily Mortimer in this film. Uh, he introduces them to his new friend Bianca, who he met on the internet. Their immediate response is shock and disbelief. Has Lars, the sweet, socially challenged introvert, gone completely mad? They meet Bianca and see a doll, but Lars sees a friend. Bianca isn't a real woman at all, but a real doll. How will they explain this to the residents of the sleepy, religious Midwestern town they've grown up in? So it's not really it's not a sex doll. It is kind of a live action doll, if you will. And Ryan Gosling plays this sweet, heartwarming, introverted character with no real ill intentions at all, or really any creepy intentions at all, but probably with a deep sense of inability to connect with people, inability to be social, and inability to, interact with the world in general. So he kind of reverts into himself. That is what kind of introversion is. As an introvert, I'm speaking from the heart. I'm speaking from personal ways. I have a lot of social anxiety. I have a lot of social paranoia. A lot of anxiety in general when it comes to any type of social gatherings and things like that, and talking with people in general. So I can understand this movie on a rather personal level. And he decides to kind of utilize this doll to kind of work through those things. But is he working through those things, or is he just relying on it? This film asks a lot of those kind of questions. It's still relevant to this day, I think, because I think we're all still asking those questions now. Um, but this is one of Ryan Gosling's, I think, best roles, really. This movie came out a long time ago. By long time ago, 2007, so 17 years, which seems like forever ago. It really does. Um, but this movie is getting um, it's got an audio commentary writer director Thomas Caldwell, Lars a Modern Pygmalion, an essay by Dr. Josh Nelson, the real story of Lars and the Real Girl featurette, a real leading lady featurette, bathtub deleted scene. Yeah, it's a movie. It's a really sweet, heartwarming film. Like, yeah, Jeff, you're right, man. Um, Lars surprised me with how good it was. Yeah, it's a really, really good indie film. Really good, like I said, heartfelt, genuine, deep, very well acted, and it plays it straight. Because if you read that, and if you even see the picture of Ryan Gosling sitting there with his button-up shirt and his glasses and his mustache, and he's sitting on the couch next to a doll, you laugh at it. But then you watch the movie and you realize there's so much more going on with it. So much more going on with it. Um, yeah, it's. I don't know if I have it in my collection. I have to look. If I don't, this may be something I want to get or try to track down, because there is a Region A release that came out um a while ago. Let me check. Hold on, I got this up for no reason. Lars. Oh, I do have it. So, because I have it logged in. I have it logged in on my Blu-ray.com account. So it says I do have it. Yeah, the Blu-ray came out in 2011, put out by MGM. Let me see if it came with any special features. It's not looking promising. Deleted scenes. That's the bathtub scene. The real story of Lars and the real girl. A real leading lady. That's it. And then theatrical trailer, which doesn't count. Um, so with this one you get a little bit more. Mm, maybe you don't. You get. Let me see if the other one had the audio commentary. I think you get the audio commentary. That's the only real big thing that you're missing. But still, if you don't own this movie, um, and you also don't get the Lars and Modern Pygmalion, an audio essay by Dr. Josh Nelson. That is not yet. That's not on the original Blu-ray release here. So you get two things that are different. Very cool, very cool. Like I said, really good indie film, heartfelt. Um, well worth a watch in any regard. Once again, collector's edition is a 48-page book with essays by Brody Lancaster and Digby Houghton. Houghton, sorry, I butchered your name. But that is it from Umbrella when it comes to their January releases. January, wow. So once again, those are Metal Skin, Creep, Severance, Hounds of Love, Lars and the Real Girl. That's 5 releases if I'm counting correctly. Let's move on from there. Let's see. You check my notes. You know what? Warner Archive. Warner Archive. Why not? They were the surprise because I completely forgot about them. And then they just kind of popped into existence the other day. And I think there's only a couple here we have to talk about. Because I think there's 2 TV related things. So we've got a few releases here. We've got these are their November batch, the November stuff. We've got Humoresque, Wait Till Your Father Gets Home, the complete series. That's the TV thing. Must Love Dogs, and then we have the complete Thin Man collection and Looney Tunes Collector's Choice Volume 4. Now, I think I mentioned that last time because it was rumored. So we've already kind of knew that was coming. I have Collector's Choice Volumes 1 and 2. I actually have to replace my case on Volume 2. For some reason, it is not the correct case that they sent me. That stuff kind of bothers me, but that's just me. I have to get Volume 3, and then now Volume 4. I've been trying to collect the Looney Tunes stuff on Blu-ray and really DVD for years. And I've got to get my rear in gear in doing that because some of the old stuff is getting harder to find, a lot of the old DVDs, and certainly some of the early Blu-rays as well. I know that there's a volume 2 of a Looney Tunes Blu-ray collection that is impossible to find on Blu-ray. Even on eBay, it goes for absurd amount of money. But that's just an aside from me here at Chasing Labels. But the Thin Man collection, that's all 6 movies. And I have all of them individually. Hold on here. I'm going to knock down probably a big stack of movies. Going to make a lot of noise. There we go. Oh, it actually didn't knock. Oh, there they go. There they go. Whole pile of Kino stuff just dropped. Let me fix it. For those of you listening on the audio, you don't really care about this. So let me fix this rather quickly. Okay. That is a whole stack of Kino here. Didn't realize how much I had. But I've had these on my couch for several years now. And these are all of the Thin Man films. All of them. So all of these will be in this one set. They're just taking all of these discs and putting them in one case. That's what they're doing. So if you have these already, you're all set. You're all set unless you want to save space. So you've got the Thin Man, the first film, pure classic. William Powell, Myrna Loy. Of course, you've got the little dog in here as well. I've seen this movie several times. I've talked about it so much. A fantastic movie. Then you've got the sequels. They all star William Powell and Myrna Loy, an amazing on pair. How do I say it? An amazing pair on screen together. That's how I want to say that. You've got the sequel here called After the Thin Man, which has a very young Jimmy Stewart in it. And then you've got Another Thin Man, the third film here. Let me put this down here as I keep bumping into my microphone. Very professional of me. Then you've got Shadow of the Thin Man, which is the fourth film. And then you've got The Thin Man Goes Home. And then lastly here, the sixth film is Song of the Thin Man. So all of these will be getting a release together. These have been released on DVD. They've been released on Blu-ray. I waited until these Blu-rays came out. I think I've said it so many times here. All I wanted from Warner Archive was these 6 movies to get released, and then if something happened to the label, so be it. At least I've got my Thin Man movies. At least I got my Thin Man movies. These are pure classics to me. Yeah, it's I can't stress how much I love these movies and how much I'm glad I have them in my collection. Um, yeah, so if you don't have them yet, you can get them in this collection. There, I think each film got 4K restorations. They all look stunning, stunning black and white. Like I said, William Powell and Myrna Loy, stunning on screen together, pure chemistry. It's like they were a real married couple on screen, even though they weren't. Um, let's see. Let's move on from that to you know what? Must Love Dogs. Must Love Dogs is a movie I had never seen until now. I watched it for the podcast, and is kind of it's a fine romantic comedy from 2005, starring Diane Lane and John Cusack. A couple of people pop in here that you may you that you know of. You know them definitely. Elizabeth Perkins, Christopher Plummer, Dermot Mulroney, Stockard Channing. The movie is a nice kind of mid 2000s romantic comedy. You've got Diane Lane is a preschool teacher. She's going through a divorce. She's actually just newly divorced. She's demoralized and dateless until her sister posts her profile at perfectmatch.com. So this is 2005. And so, like, dating websites were starting to become a thing by this point in time in the history of the internet. People think that, like, dating, like online dating is a new thing for the new generation with all the apps and stuff like that. No, it's been around for a while. Back in the day, there used to be like video dating services and stuff like that where you would send in recordings of yourself, and people would watch them and choose you based on that. You'd answer like a series of questions, the same thing you would answer on these dating websites or these dating apps now. So this is a kind of a look back at what it was like back in 2005 to online date. And Diane Lane, her friend, or actually her sister, portrayed by Elizabeth Perkins, basically sets up her profile for her, and she goes on a bunch of dates with a bunch of guys that she doesn't that are all like bad dates and stuff, until of course she meets John Cusack's character, who's also going through a divorce and doing the online dating thing because his friend signs him up for it, and they end up going on a date. Kind of doesn't go well, but there's sparks there, and and there's something there that gets further explored throughout the movie. The whole concept of Must Love Dogs is like something you would put on a dating profile. Like, I'm looking for somebody who must love dogs. It's a very cute movie. I love the fact that John Cusack's character has an obsession with the movie Dr. Zhivago. So that's a nice classic movie connection in there. Yeah, it's a harmless romantic comedy from the mid 2000s. I liked it. I'm a sucker for those types of things. I'm a hopeless romantic at heart, if you will. So that is Must Love Dogs. I remember when that movie came out. I was, oh boy, let's see, 18. Yeah, I was like 18 when that movie came out. Obviously, at the time, I wasn't interested in romantic comedies because I was young and idiotic. But let's see what else we've got here. Um, Humoresque. So Humoresque is a film starring Joan Crawford, and John Garfield. Uh, Joan Crawford and John Garfield. Who directed this movie? Let's see. I remember it being directed by someone. Gene Negulesco. Gene Negulesco, who I talked about very, very briefly on a recent Unwatched pile, because there was a film on there we had talked about that was directed by Gene Negulesco. But glamorous socialite Helen Wright, Joan Crawford, takes what she wants: clothes, alcohol, men, uses them and tosses them aside. Then she meets brilliant young violinist Paul Bourret, who is John Garfield. But this is one toy she can't break. Instead, her love for Paul brings Helen to the breaking point. In this acclaimed and profound exploration of desire, Crawford makes Helen a rich, layered character torn between selfless love and selfish impulses. Garfield matches her as the driven genius. Humoresque's production values extend to the musical interludes dubbed by Isaac Stern. Garfield's dazzling technique is thanks to two real violinists hidden behind him, one to do the fingering and one to do the bow work. I guess that's how you get actors to use the instruments, is you have somebody do it for them, and then you kind of edit it in. The magic of editing. This is getting a 4K restoration. There's a featurette here, the music of Humoresque, classic cartoons, Racketeer Rabbit, Rhapsody Rabbit. I'm assuming starring Bugs Bunny. Um, yeah, this is something I'm definitely going to get. I'm a big Joan Crawford fan. Um, one of the greatest actresses of all time. I mean, I don't think there's an argument there at all. I know everyone has their favorites, but Joan Crawford, I think, is one of the best of all time. And I've been trying to get as many of her films as I can in my collection. So this is nice to see another one get a Blu-ray release. I believe that's it for Warner Archive. Like I said, there is a Looney Tunes Collector's Choice Volume 4. This TV series here, I'm not familiar with. Oh no, there's one more movie I got to talk about. But Wait Till Your Father Gets Home. I'm not familiar with this at all. We don't really take the time to talk about TV shows here at all. This is at 48 episodes that went for 2 seasons. Bunch of voice appearances from Monty Hall, Don Knotts, Phyllis Diller, Rich Little. I think Tom Bosley provides the voice of the main character, who's like a suburban father of 3. Yeah, this is an animated show, actually. It's an animated show that ran from 1972 to 1974. This would have been during his time that he was on Happy Days. Tom Bosley played the father on Happy Days. Let's see. So That's Entertainment is the thing I want to talk about. So That's Entertainment came out in 1974, and it's a tribute retrospective honoring not only MGM for its 50th anniversary, but specifically the MGM musicals of the past, the classic MGM musicals. So you get like hosted segments of basically people talking about famous musicals and their adaptations of the past. Things like Singing in the Rain and Broadway Melody and American in Paris, Ziegfeld Follies, stuff like that. But the people who hosted these segments are big time famous actors and actresses. The movie, it starts off with Frank Sinatra. He's the first one. But you've got like Fred Astaire, Bing Crosby, Gene Kelly, Peter Lawford, Donald O'Connor, Debbie Reynolds, Mickey Rooney, Jimmy Stewart's in there, Elizabeth Taylor's in there, Liza Minnelli talks about her mother, Judy Garland, and what her career in the musical world was like and stuff like that. Really, you gotta love musicals, specifically musicals of the early MGM history to really appreciate it. They actually did 2 more of these. They did a sequel, and I think let me look it up. They did a sequel, I want to say in the 70s as well, and they did one in like 1994. Let me look. Yeah, it's called That's Entertainment. That is the name of this movie. So That's Entertainment from 1974, directed by Jack Haley Jr. And there's That's Entertainment. Oh, it's called That's Entertainment Part 2, 1976, where they go over even more musicals. And then there is That's Entertainment 3 from 1994. And then, of course, by that point, it would have been the 70th anniversary of MGM. If you're doing the math here, people, this year would be the 100th anniversary of MGM. Not a lot of fanfare going on when it comes to that, which is unfortunate to me. I thought we'd be getting something worthwhile when it comes to celebrating the 100th anniversary of MGM. But as I've said here on Chasing Labels many, many times, MGM's like history and catalog is rather muddled because it's spread in a bunch of different places. I think by this point, Warner Brothers owns some of the catalog. Amazon owns some of the catalog. Other people, I think, may or may not own some of the catalog. Um, so when it's come to like Blu-ray releases and stuff like that, it's been kind of a mess. It's been kind of a mess. As we'll be talking about soon, The Great Escape is getting another release. That's an MGM film. That MGM put out a Blu-ray of that. Criterion's put out a Blu-ray of that. Arrow's now put out a Blu-ray and 4K of The Great Escape. So as you can tell, like that's just one MGM movie that's gotten so many releases. Um, yeah, what a history of things, man. MGM, what a history. It still exists to this day, obviously in its current form, still producing, still making movies and TV shows and stuff like that. You still see that lion roar sometimes, and it's still great to see it. It's digital now; it's not a real lion like it used to be back in the day. But you understand what I'm saying. MGM is still alive in some ways. In some ways, Jeff, you are right. John Garfield did die very young. Um, yeah, he died. Oh, gee. I'm on IMDb right now. Let me look up when John Garfield passed away. Let's see. John Garfield. Let's see. Born in 1913, died in 1952. Less than 40, right? If I'm doing the math on that, sorry. When I get into this, my brain is not working the best. Let me see. Let's see, John Garfield. I'm just looking up his. Yeah, he died at 39. 39 years old. Very young. Very young. I know I've looked up how he's passed. Let's see. Ba-ba-ba-bum. Oh yeah, I think he had heart problems. He was actually blacklisted by the House Un-American Activities. That's a shame. Sorry, I just got caught up reading that Wikipedia really quickly. Um, so let's see. I think that's everything from Warner Archive. Let's see. Now let's move over to um Eureka. So Eureka has a couple of releases. I think only really two, because one is a re-release of uh, into a standard edition. So let's get into it. So first appears a horrible history, four historical epics by Cheh. And I'm assuming these are Shaw Brothers films. I think. I'll just read this here. Often described as godfather of Hong Kong cinema, Cheh made nearly 100 films during a long and storied career spent at the Shaw Brothers studio, where he directed such landmark films as The One-Armed Swordsman, Five Deadly Venoms, and The Heroic Ones. Many of his films drew upon Chinese history for inspiration, and many of them were based on real people and events. Eureka Classics presents four of his best historical epics in this limited edition set: Marco Polo, The Pirate, Boxer Rebellion, and Four Riders. In Marco Polo, the eponymous Venetian explorer becomes embroiled in a battle between the Mongol Empire and Chinese rebels in the 13th century. In Pirate, the infamous 19th century raider Chang Po-se must evade agents of the imperial court while attempting to aid the downtrodden residents of a coastal village. In Boxer Rebellion, a group of Chinese patriots use kung fu to protect their nation against invading forces of the at the turn of the century. Finally, in Four Riders, a Chinese veteran of the Korean War enlists three comrades to help him escape the South Korean military police command after he is falsely accused of murdering an American soldier. So that's once again Marco Polo, the Pirate, Boxer Rebellion, and Four Riders. This is a four-film box set. Let's see, high definition presentations on Blu-ray from masters supplied by Celestial Pictures. Celestial Pictures, I believe, is the company that owns the Shaw Brothers catalog currently. We got two brand new commentaries by East Asian film expert Frank Zhang and martial arts slash filmmaker Michael Wirth. Two brand new commentaries by action cinema experts Mike Leader and Arn Venema. National events, a new interview with Hong Kong cinema scholar Wayne Wong on Boxer Rebellion. Rewriting history, a new video essay by Chang Cheh's historical films by Jonathan Clements, author of A Brief History of China. Okay, we got limited edition collector's booklet, slipcover or O card slipcase, 2,000 copies. This is coming out December 10th here in the US, and the UK December 9th. Next is kind of one that surprised the hell out of me. The Secret of Nimh. The Secret of Nimh is getting a Blu-ray release from Eureka. Eureka, if I recall, doesn't put out a lot of animated films. That doesn't seem to be their thing. This is, I believe, the first film directed by Don Bluth. This is the adaptation of Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nimh, renamed in this movie to Mrs. Brisby. This is part of the Don Bluth productions, with movies like Land Before Time, An American Tail, All Dogs Go to Heaven. Those movies. This is actually the first one. I think all of those in that line. So in 1979, legendary animator Don Bluth made the decision to leave Walt Disney Productions and establish his own animation studio with several former Disney employees. The newly established Don Bluth Productions first made a short, Banjo the Woodpile Cat, and then its first feature, The Secret of Nimh, adapted from Robert C. O'Brien's popular children's book, Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nimh. I read that book back in elementary school. Oh God, 25 years ago? No, more than that. Actually, probably around that. Actually, more than that. More than 25 years ago. I remember distinctly reading that book, and I hadn't seen the movie until long years later, until I became an adult. And I think that was one of the first movies I ever streamed on Netflix when Netflix started streaming things. And when I first got Netflix, this was probably circa 2011, is I think when I started Netflix streaming. Before then, I didn't even use it at all. But yeah, Secret of Nimh. If you've not seen it and you're a fan of the Don Bluth animation and animation style, it's cool. It's so different than what Disney would do or was doing at the time. Um, it's something that's very much part of my childhood. All Dogs Go to Heaven is still one of the saddest movies I've ever seen. And American Tail, thinking about that movie always makes me cry. It's truly a unique animation studio. And this movie is dealing with Mrs. Brisby, who's this little field mouse, and her children live in a cinder block on this farm. And this farmer is going to be starting like plowing to start planting crops and stuff like that. And typically, her and her family move to someplace else during that time. But her son is really, really sick and she can't do it. So she needs to find medicine to make him better. But the medicine's not going to work in time to be able to get him to move. So she's got to find help elsewhere. And it sends her on this adventure of talking to these rats who are from Nimh, what their deal is, what the connection is to her late husband who is deceased. It's an interesting adventure. I really like this film a lot. I don't own it at all, actually, and I'm very excited that Eureka's putting this out. It's getting a high definition presentation on Blu-ray from a studio supplied master. Now, what that means, I'm not 100% sure, but I can guess it's the same old master that's been around for many, many years, because we did get a Blu-ray release of this a long time ago. Let's see, Secret of Nimh got a Blu-ray release in 2011 from, you guessed it, MGM. Once again, I told you, MGM's catalog is everywhere. It's everybody gets a piece of that pie. So MGM put out a Blu-ray release. It is still in print here, but it doesn't really have. It wasn't. It didn't look good at the time, unfortunately. And these films aren't really made to look incredibly great. These aren't like 90s Disney animated films. It's a different type of animation. These films have a lot of grit to them. So they're not going to look incredible, but it'd be nice to put some effort. So we did get an audio commentary by Don Bluth and Gary Goldman. And then there's a secrets behind the scene featurette here as well. And then that's it. So that was it on the original Blu-ray release. On this Blu-ray release, we get the Rats of Nimh, a new on-camera interview with director and animator Don Bluth. That's amazing. Goodness gracious, that's incredible. Beyond Your Wildest Dreams, a new on-screen appreciation of The Secret of Nimh with animation expert and fan Stacey Abbott. Courage of the Heart, a new video essay by children's media expert Catherine Lester on motherhood and The Secret of Nimh. Secrets Behind the Secret, archival featurette. I just talked about that. There's a collector's booklet here with new writing on Don Bluth, by Peter C. Kunz, the author of Staging a Comeback, Broadway, Hollywood, and the Disney Renaissance. Limited to 2,000 copies. It's going to have that oak card slipcase coming out December 9th. I'm excited as heck about this. I love collecting animation, especially animation like this that hasn't really seen any good releases. If they have access to The Secret of Nimh, does that mean they have access to The Land Before Time? Does that mean they have access to All Dogs Go to Heaven, or An American Tail? Once again, I would have to look. Let me see. My chances they don't. So All Dogs Go to Heaven. Okay, so that was put out by MGM. I know because I have that Blu-ray release. An American Tail. Let's see. American Tail was put out by Universal, so perhaps they don't have access to that. And I know Universal put that out originally in 2014, and then what's the last one I talked about? Oh, Land Before Time. I think Universal's got their hands on that too, unfortunately. Yes, Universal put it out in 2015. So that is Secret of Nimh. And then the last thing here is The Cat and the Canary is getting a standard release. The Cat and the Canary literally just came out as like a collector's edition release. Let me see. Click. Yeah, the Masters of Cinema like collector's edition release came out in April. Damn, that must have sold fast. They must have sold all those copies already. Because it's not available to buy on Amazon US anymore. Yeah, it's not available at all. Not even from the third-party market. Okay, so you're gonna have to dig deep to find that on some other sites if you still need to get the Cat and the Canary Collector's Edition. I think that was one of their first US releases. I forget that Eureka's doing US releases now. I always just associate them with the UK, but not anymore. Not anymore. So that is it from Eureka. And since we've done Eureka, let's do Arrow. Let's talk Arrow. Like I said, we've first up top of the list here is The Great Escape, The Addiction, The Good, the Bad, The Weird, The Last Video Store, Demolition Man, and then Critters, a 4-course feast. which has four Critters films. So right at the top, the John Sturges film, The Great Escape. Like I just said, it's been released by MGM on Blu-ray. It's been released by Criterion on Blu-ray, and now getting an Arrow release on Blu-ray and 4K UHD. And my goodness, we've got plenty of editions to choose from. So let me see what we've got cooking here when it comes to this release. So, The Great Escape, the John Sturges film. If you haven't seen this movie, watch it. It's great. Starring Steve McQueen, James Coburn, Charles Bronson. Donald Pleasance is in the film. I believe Richard Attenborough is in it as well. It's one of the great all-time prison movies. It's one of the great all-time prison escape movies. It's one of the, you could say it's one of the great all-time movies in general, and I wouldn't argue with you on that. Takes place during World War II. All of these men are in this POW camp, and they're trying to make a great escape, essentially. So here we've got, it's a 3-disc edition. It looks like, it looks like it's a UK release only. So it's not a region free if you're just looking to pick up the Blu-ray, because Criterion owns the rights here, clearly. But 3-disc edition, limited packaging, reversible sleeve, featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by Sam Hadley. Collector's booklet featuring new writing by Barry Forshaw, Nell Mitchell, Wickham Clayton, and Mark Cunliffe. Fold-out double-sided poster featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by Sam Hadley. The first disc 1 is the 4K Blu-ray of The Great Escape. Newly restored original soundtrack, Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the movie, and then disc 2 is the Blu-ray bonus features. It's got The Great Escape. It's got The Great Composer, which is brand new interview with composer Neil Brand, discussing Elmer Bernstein and his iconic score. Freedom Forge critic and educator Rich Johnson. I think that's our buddy Rich Johnson. Yeah. Explores the film's place within the war movie canon in this brand new visual essay. Awesome. Awesome to see him doing stuff. I think he just did something regarding Batman Mask of the Phantasm as well. I've got to check that out. He's been posting it on his social media, on his Instagram. So I've got to check that out because that's a great movie. Michael Sragow on The Great Escape 2020 interview exploring the career of John Sturges and the making of the film. Heroes Underground 2001 4-part documentary exploring the making of the film and events which inspired it, featuring the interviews with former POWs. That's incredible. That's a historical piece right there. You got other stuff here. I'm not going to go through the rest because I'm starting to lose my voice. But the third disc here is The Great Escape 2: The Untold Story, which is a limited edition exclusive. So that is, hold on, The Great Escape. I just want to make sure I know what that is, so I'm not speaking out of turn. Yeah, The Great Escape 2: The Untold Story is... I think that's a TV movie from 1988, starring Christopher Reeve, Judd Hirsch, Tony Dennison. It says Allied prisoners tunnel out of a stalag. After the war, 2 of them try to hunt down the former Gestapo officers who executed most of the recaptured escapees. Yeah, Christopher Reeve is in it. Judd Hirsch, Ian McShane is in the movie as well. I've never seen this, so I couldn't tell you if it's good or not. I've never seen it. But this is coming out December 2nd. It looks like the Blu-ray release will also be 3 discs, with the first film being just the movie on Blu-ray, then the special features, and then The Great Escape 2: The Untold Story. Next we have The Addiction, which is I think this is the Abel Ferrer. I've seen this movie. Hold on, sorry. Yeah, this is the Abel Ferreira. Yeah, this is the Abel Ferrer vampire film starring Lily Taylor. Lily Taylor, Christopher Walken is in the movie. Edie Falco is in the movie as well. Young Edie Falco. This is long before Sopranos and stuff like that. This movie came out in 1995. Kathleen Conklin was just a New York philosopher and philosophy grad student attending college. While walking home one night, she is dragged off the street and bitten by a strange woman. Soon, Kathleen goes from being a normal student to being a vampire. Kathleen's need for blood is similar to a drug addict's need for drugs, and we watch as she goes from one fix to the next. That's the allegory of it, is that this need for blood, this thirst for blood becomes an addiction. Uh, so there you go. Title of the movie. Um, Shot, I believe, in black and white, very stylistic, very very Abel Ferrara esque. Um, it's a very moody piece. It's not plot driven really. It's a slow paced film, even at 82 minutes. This has been available on Blu-ray from them for years, and I've just never gotten it. But looks like I waited. I waited to the right time because it is getting a 4K UHD release. It's only a single disc 4K UHD release with a slipcover. Um, I've gotten to the point where I'm just believe that Arrow's not doing uh 4K and Blu-ray combos anymore. That seems to be the case. Of all the Arrow releases I've got like this year, none of them I don't think have like Blu-ray counterparts to them. Like I'm looking at Crimson Peak, and I think it's only a 4K disc. I don't believe this has a Blu-ray in it at all. I think it was the same with some other ones as well. So unfortunately, that seems to be the case, which sucks because I'm upgrading a lot of stuff. I'm upgrading a lot of Blu-rays to 4Ks, and I want to keep like a Blu-ray copy around. So I've got to take the Blu-ray off the shelf, put the 4K on the shelf, but then still keep the Blu-ray someplace else, I guess, just for just to save shelf space. Kind of frustrating. Kind of frustrating because the prices, like I said, haven't reflected that. We're still paying premium price, but getting kind of less if they're not including the Blu-ray. Um, but let's see. Jeff says, Deaf Crocodile's been putting out a lot of animation, picking that up. What's interesting is I had some of Deaf Crocodile's stuff on my watch list, and I was going to talk about them, but I just didn't have time. I didn't have time to get to it, and I didn't have time to include it in my notes because we got so much to go over. Um, as it is, we still got to hit the Vinegar Syndrome, and their partner label stuff. That's going to take a little bit, but you are right, Jeff. Dev Crocodile does put out a lot of animation, a lot of animation that you've never heard of before, stuff you never uh, imagined. A lot of Eastern European animation from like the 80s that didn't know existed. Didn't know existed. Um, I need to get a lot of their catalog stuff that they were putting out when they were back on the partner label stuff. Speaking of the partner label stuff, what do I have? I still only have. Oh, I don't even know where I put it. It's in one of these piles here. Actually, it's in this. It's in this pile. Maybe in this pile. Either way, I still got to get some Deaf Crocodile stuff. Um, it's tough to keep up with all their stuff. A couple of weeks ago on the one of the episodes, they had listed out a bunch of stuff that they're coming out with for the next couple of months, and I went through all of that, and some of it was indeed animation. They're starting to put out 4K stuff now as well. Really cool, really cool. What did they announce? Let me go look at my watch list. See if I can remember. Let's see, watch list. Um, what is this? There was Tamala 2010, a punk cat in space. I think that was a Deaf Crocodile a release, or that is a Deaf Crocodile release. Should probably go to there. Because I'm not even sure. if their website. Let's see. Yeah. So Tamala 2010, a punk cat in space, doesn't have a release date yet. Let's see. I'm on Blu-ray.com just checking out some of their future stuff. Yeah, there was a bunch of their animation stuff that I still need to get my hands on. Like the Tune. Yeah, I remember the Tune. I think I watched that. Oh, Benny's Bathtub was wild. Cat City. The Pied Piper. The Pied Piper, which they put out last August, was incredible. That was really cool stuff. That kind of like stop motion animation. Really cool stuff put out by Deaf Crocodile. Um, yeah, I gotta get some of their things. I forget which website that they're now selling their stuff out of mainly. Is it Diabolic? I think it's Diabolic. Or is it MVD? Sorry, I should know these things, but so much is going on in my head. Um, I gotta look that up after the show. So let me get back to back to Arrow. Yeah, The Addiction. So the Abel Ferrara film. It's getting a 4K UHD release. That black and white should look fantastic. It's a brand new 4K restoration from the original camera negative by Arrow themselves. I believe it's got all the same special features that were on the Blu-ray, so we shouldn't be any surprises there. We shouldn't be getting any surprises there. Coming out December 10th, and then we have the Good, the Bad, the Weird, 4K Blu-ray, 2-disc edition. This movie is a Korean version of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but it's set during 1939 as opposed to late 19th century Old West style. Stylized as heck, fun action movie. It's directed by Kim Ji-woon. Kim Ji-woon, who of course directed he directed A Bittersweet Life. He also directed I Saw the Devil. He directed what's that movie? A Tale of Two Sisters. This guy's a great director. I have actually I have it right here. I can look it out. Here's A Bittersweet Life right here. So here is the umbrella release of A Bittersweet Life. Really good movie. Really good movie. I Saw the Devil, of course, is another one of his, like I just mentioned. One of the darkest films you'll ever see in I Saw the Devil. We did a whole episode on I Saw the Devil back when we were doing Cinema Discovery Project. Steven and I did a whole episode on it, going like scene for scene, talking about the movie. I think we did it coincidentally during October as like a Halloween film because it is a horror film. It is indeed a horrific film. So that was really cool. Oh, thank you, Jeff. So Jeff says it is Diabolic or their website. Thank you. Um, Oh yeah, release of Heroic Time. I wanted to see Heroic Times when it was announced, and I couldn't find it. That's another thing with Deaf Crocodile. If you want to go on an adventure that's going to lead you into a brick wall in terms of finding movies to watch, uh, Deaf Crocodile is a king in that regard. Their stuff is so unique that it's impossible to find to stream anywhere, to watch anywhere. It probably never really got a physical release anywhere. Their stuff is so hard to find. It's frustrating. It's frustrating, but it's kind of amazing as well. So let me see. This is the what was I talking about? The Good, the Bad, the Weird. Like I said, it's the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but a Korean version of that. So in 1930s, three gun-toting Koreans converge on a train with different objectives, but after an explosive altercation, they leave with the same goal. Track down a map leading to an unfathomable treasure. The good is bounty hunter Park Do-won, who is chasing down the bad, the ruthless bandit Park Chang-yi, a rumored to be rumored to be the notorious finger cutter. Meanwhile, wily thief Yoon Tae-gu, the Weird, is on the hunt for anything he can get his hands on. Backs are stabbed, fingers are cut, and many bullets fly as this dangerous trio blast their way through the desert in search of untold treasures. It's like I said, this is a brand new 4K master, approved by director Kim Ji-woon. DTS HD 7.1 master, that's fantastic. There's two cuts of the movie. I should probably say that. Um, yeah, it's got a 40-page collector's book as well. Um, this does have a Blu-ray release here, but it's that Blu-ray release has got to be from forever ago. Let me see. The Good, the Bad, the Weird. I remember when this came out. I remember people buzzing about it. Yes, there is a Blu-ray release from 2010 put out by IFC Films that is still in print in the Region A world, a single disc edition. It's a fun movie. It's a fun actioner. Let's see. So let me scroll back down. We go from the good, the bad, and the good, the bad, the weird. Yeah, there's a 4K release. There's a Blu-ray release as well. No, is it just? Hold on. Yeah, it's a 4K Blu-ray, and then yeah, and then. Uh, huh, interesting. Yeah, there's a blue. It's a 4K and Blu-ray. Sorry, I'm just for some reason it looks like it's listed on here twice. Yeah, you get a. I believe the second. Yeah, it's got the international and Korean version of the film, brand new audio commentary by film critic James Marsh and film critic producer Piers Conran, archival audio commentaries by the director and actors, and then another archival audio commentary by the director and cinematographer, and then a bunch of other people. A new introduction by the director himself, a bunch of stuff. Very cool. The last video store I did not get to see. One, it wasn't streaming anywhere. Love letter to video rental stores and the B movie treasures that line their walls. Cody Kennedy and Tim Rutherford's debut feature. The last video store is a genre loving blast of pure joy, a real treasure trove for genre fans, both new and old. When her estranged father passes away, 20-something Nyla is tasked with the thing she hates the most, cleaning up his mess. Left behind are a collection of VHS tapes, and with them the burden of returning them to Blaster Video, a time capsule to an era in which cover art and catchy movie title were king. Run by Kevin, a human encyclopedia of VHS history, and a friend of her father. Amongst the returns is an unknown tape, a movie not even Kevin has heard of. Was this the last movie Nyla's father watched before he died? The mystery is too much to resist, but when Kevin and Nyla press play, they unwittingly activate a long dormant curse. A series of classic cinematic villains are plucked from a B-movie heaven and hell to be unleashed into the video store. Sounds like a lot of fun. Sounds like a lot of fun. Um, Obviously, these are all relatively new special features. Um, Actually, there's a new audio commentary by film critics Matt Donato and Megan Navarro. There's a bunch of features here. A new visual essay by film critic Heather Wixson, co-author of In Search of Darkness. Nostalgia Fuel, a new visual essay by film critic Martin Pedler. 'Twas the Night of the Tree Bees, a 2012 short by Cody Kennedy and Tim Rutherford. Yeah, a bunch of other stuff here. And then last here we've got, maybe not last, actually second to last here, we've got Demolition Man. I don't know if I need to explain this to people. Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes, 90s action film. Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes are frozen and then unfrozen in the future. Uh, And actually, what happens is Wesley Snipes is a criminal that Sylvester Stallone catches in the past. He's frozen, and then he gets unfrozen in the future, and then Sylvester Stallone has to get unfrozen because they need a police officer from the past to catch a criminal from the past. And he wakes up in a very weird world where there's seashells as toilet paper. Taco Bell's won the restaurant chain wars, so now everything's Taco Bell. There's all kinds of stuff going on. There's people living under the city. Um, Sandra Bullock. It's a young It's a young Sandra Bullock, early performance by Sandra Bullock. I think this is from 1994, if I remember correctly. Yeah, yes, it is. You get two cuts of the film. Who directed this movie? Uh, I don't know. Marco Brambilla. Like I said, Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes, Sandra Bullock, Nigel Hawthorne, Benjamin Bratt, Bob Gunton, produced by Joel Silver. This has had a Blu-ray release here in the U.S. since 2011, and I know so many people who have it in their collection. I don't own this movie at all, ever. The reason being is because it was played on cable TV so much that I watched it so many times that I just never felt the need to actually own it. I never felt the need to have it because I've seen it so many times. But this Blu-ray, this 4K release does tempt me. It tempts me greatly because if I'm going to get it, I might as well get it in this format with it looks like a new 4K restoration from the original camera negative. It's got loads of special features. I'm like, my goodness, we got brand new commentary by the director and the screenwriter. We got a new commentary by film historian Mike White of Projection Booth Podcast, the archival interview with the director and producer Joel Silver, Demolition Design, a new interview with production designer David L. Snyder, Cryo Action, a new interview with stunt coordinator Charles Persini, new interview with special makeup artist Chris Biggs, Tacos and Hockey Pucks, a new interview with body effects set coordinator Jeff Farley. They got interviews with everybody here. Somewhere Over the Rambo, a new visual essay by film scholar Josh Nelson. 60-page book in here, 6 postcards, double-sided poster. It's that Arrow Deluxe treatment that you expect from Demolition Man, coming out December 10th. Cool, man. That's really awesome. And then last but certainly not least is Critters, a 4-course feast. Now, I know many of you probably have the Critters box set that was put out by Shout. I'm assuming Shout doesn't have the rights to it anymore, and then and then this is kind of replacing it. Let me see. Critters. The Critters collection put out by Shout back in 2018 is still in print. You can still get it. Okay. That has Critters 1, 2, 3, and 4. It doesn't have that reboots that they did back a couple of years ago. Doesn't have the web series, I don't think. Let's see. We've got Critters. You can actually watch all 4 Critters movies on Tubi. You could actually. You could. I don't know if they took it off there already. But if you're not, I never seen Critters before. I knew of Critters, but I never saw any of the movies. Anytime there's a little creature type of critter thing around, I always think of Gremlins, and then I always think of why aren't I watching Gremlins instead? Because I've always felt like these films were capitalizing on the success of Joe Dante's Gremlins. But apparently the concept for this movie was written before Gremlins had ever come out. So what do I know? But the Krites have landed. Carnivorous creatures from outer space, vicious vermin with very sharp teeth. The beloved sci-fi comedy horror franchise makes its UK Blu-ray debut in this special edition box set from Arrow Video, a 4-course feast of fun, fur, fare, and fangs, served with a platter of new and archive extras to whet your appetite. Go on, get stuck. Go on, get stuck in. Yeah, it's very much an homage to 1950s B movies. Critters sees a group of small but toothy extraterrestrials escape from an alien prison and land in small town America with 2 shape-shifting bounty hunters in hot pursuit. That's the premise of the first movie. And then things kind of escalate from there. The critters make a return in Critters 2. In Critters 3, they're in the city. Critters 4, I'm not actually quite sure what the plot is. Um, all I know is it's kind of a law of diminishing returns. Once you get past the first one, kind of. I think once you get past the second one, um, it's kind of a law of diminishing returns. But it's still a whole ton of fun, especially this time of year during Halloween season. You know, you watch Gremlins, you watch Critters, you watch Ghoulies. I happen to have Ghoulies right next to me. The MVD release, MDV 4K release actually of Ghoulies. They just put out Ghoulies 2, I think this year. I got to get my hands on that. I saw that when I was doing some online browsing the other day. I got to get my hands on that. Um, this was, from my buddy Eric Wilkinson over at MVD. This is his thing. He did this. He also did Swamp Thing, which I happen to have here as well. Sorry, I'm making sure that it's actually focusing. Starting to lose my voice here. Let me get some more water. But yeah, it's Critters is kind of exactly what you expect it to be. There's this, at least the first two stars. Scott, let's see, Scott Grimes. Yeah, the first two star Scott Grimes as a young kid who kind of ends up having to fight off these critters with the help of his family and all this stuff. Scott Grimes, I know him. He is in the television series the Orville, Seth MacFarlane piece. He was in the television series Ted, which I referenced earlier. He's the father in that. He was in a bunch of stuff. He was on ER as well. He was in Band of Brothers. He was in, I think, Ridley Scott's Robin Hood. He's done the voice in American Dad, the other Seth MacFarlane TV series. So he's been a working actor since he was a kid. But let me scroll back here to see what we got here in terms of special features. So it is a 4-disc set. Each movie gets its own case, I assume. Each movie gets its own set of special features. We got, there's 3 audio commentaries on Critters. There's 3 audio commentaries on Critters 2, the main course. There's 2 audio commentaries on Critters 3 and 2 audio commentaries on Critters 4. Plus a couple of special features on each. The first film I think gets the most in terms of special features. Sorry. Yeah. Our buddies are on here. So brand new audio commentary by film critics Matty Boudreau. Oh boy. Boudrice. Sorry, I should remember his name. And Dave Wayne from screenwriter Shane Bitterling. I wish I knew. I can't remember how to say his name. It's getting to me. But they also do a commentary on Critters 2. They do a commentary on Critters 3, and they do a commentary on Critters 4. So it's awesome to see those guys doing special features. They were guests on our podcast a long time ago. So it's nice to see those guys still doing some great work. So that is it from Arrow, an eclectic group. We've got, once again, running all this down, The Great Escape, The Addiction, The Good, the Bad, the Weird, The Last Video Store, Demolition Man, and a Critters box set of 4 Critters films. It's called Critters, a 4-course feast. These are all coming out in December, just in time for the holiday season. So before we get to the grand finale, which will be Vinegar Syndrome and their partner labels, we got to go back to our good old pals over at Kino. I almost forgot about them, but I didn't. Let's get into it real quick because that Vinegar Syndrome slate was pretty big. Let me stretch here, getting in for the 7th inning stretch. So we've got the Eiger Sanction, which is another Clint Eastwood film that is making its upgrade from Kino Blu-ray to Kino 4K. We're doing it again, people, just like we did with some of his other films. I think I left off with talking about Play Misty for Me. which is coming out in November, and we have the Eiger Sanction coming out on the same exact day on 4K. I remember talking about this movie on here the on the Chasing Labels. The Eiger Sanction, yeah, it came 2020. Damn, I was way off, way off. But I remember talking about that movie. I don't know why. Did it get a release from someone else? I don't know. I can't really take the time. But anywho, it had a Blu-ray release in 2020. It's getting a 4K release now. Another Clint Eastwood starring film. They've got a bunch of Clint Eastwood in their catalog over at Kino. So we will let them do what they always do. But the Eiger Sanction is a movie where, let's see, it's got a new audio commentary by film historian Justin Humphreys, audio commentary by film critic Nick Pinkerton. Sorry, let me go get the. Oh, where are you? Let me get a little synopsis of this movie. So, Jonathan Hemlock is an art history professor and collector who finances his hobby by performing the odd sanction, which are assassinations. For an obscure government bureau, he is forced to take a case where he must find out which of the members of a mountain climbing team is the Russian killer he has been given as a target by joining an expedition to climb the treacherous Eiger, hence the Eiger Sanction or the Eiger assassination. So he doesn't know who he's really after. He's got to figure it out while he's climbing a mountain. And go Clint Eastwood. Go Clint Eastwood, I guess. Clint Eastwood's newest film just dropped the trailer recently, and it's coming out, I think, next month. It's called Juror Number 2, starring Nicholas Hoult. Just thought I would add that in there. Let's see. Now we've got the movie 123, which I think I talked about already. I think this is just getting an announcement of when it's coming out and the special features. So coming November 11th, 123, 1961. This is a reissue. It's a Blu-ray reissue. It's getting an audio commentary by film historian Michael Schlesinger. Billy Wilder and Volker Schlondorf discuss 123. That's 3 minutes and 1 second. Billy Wilder on politics and 123 that's around 6 minutes and 5 seconds. This is, if you haven't guessed it already, a Billy Wilder film. It's a must-buy. Starring James Cagney. It's a really good screenplay. If I remember correctly. Let me go on my Letterboxd and get the synopsis of 123. Just because for those of you who are Billy Wilder enthusiasts, I think it's a worthwhile film to get in your collection. It's from 1961, so a relatively later Billy Wilder film, although not so much out of his prime. So C.R. McNamara is a managing director for Coca-Cola in West Berlin during the Cold War. Just before the wall is put up, when Scarlett, the rebellious daughter of his boss, comes to West Berlin, McNamara has to look after her, but this turns out to be a difficult task when she reveals to be married to a communist. Uh-oh, look what happens. Starring James Cagney. It's a Billy Wilder film that I have to buy. Simply put, I got to get them all. Got to get all the Billy Wilder I can get. Let's move on from there. Let's see. Just some stuff here that's getting announced. The Hunted, which is the William Friedkin film. I talked about it when it was announced. It's getting a 4K UHD release coming out November 19th. The movie Below, which is I think the David Twohy again? Directed by the director of Pitch Black, David Twohy. I talked about that movie when it was announced way back when. It's coming out November 26th on 4K UHD. It's that submarine film. 600 feet beneath the surface, terror runs deep. Nice. This is a nice little features package here. It's got 2-disc edition. It's a nice little 2000s kind of psychological horror thriller. Next is a movie called Hot Pursuit from 1987, starring John Cusack, Robert Loggia, Jerry Stiller, Ben Stiller is in the movie as well. Keith David is in the film as well. Directed by Steven Lisberger, who directed Tron. It's a brand new HD master from a 4K scan of a 35 millimeter original camera negative. This is a fun little adventure film from the 80s starring a young John Cusack. So what happens is John Cusack is supposed to go on uh I think it's like his freshman year is done or there's like a break happening or something like that. Uh of college. I believe it's college. And he and his girlfriend and his girlfriend's parents are supposed to go on this really like expensive swanky trip. I think the Caribbean, somewhere around down there, with with the islands and the umbrella drinks and the boats and the cruises. You know what I'm talking about. But he fails like a chemistry final or something, and he's got to stay to make it up. And but he ends up getting out of it. Like the professor takes like pity on him and lets him go and lets him pass because he's like 1 point away from passing. So the professor's like, you know what? I think I'll just let you pass or whatever. So he's going down there. They've already left, right? So he's kind of chasing after them, after his girlfriend and his girlfriend's parents. So it's him kind of going on this adventure to get to them. But what happens is they end up getting like captured and like held for ransom or something like that. So he ends up having to at least attempt to save them and whatnot. It's a fun movie. John Cusack in the 80s was was great. Better Off Dead. Of course, Say Anything. The Sure Thing, I think, was with John Cusack. I think that's the Rob Reiner film. I gotta upgrade that DVD to Blu-ray. But he goes on this kind of fun, wild, zany adventure in the Caribbean where he ends up getting picked up by Keith David and his friends, and they end up like taking him on kind of like a Mr. Toad's wild ride through the back roads of this island. Um, Things like that end up happening. Uh, all kinds of stuff. It's a fun adventure movie if you dig those types of movies from the 80s. Kind of remind me of like Romancing the Stone, things like that. That's the vibe I kind of got, but it's a younger version of like a Romancing the Stone, a less serious version of that, way more comedic. But let's see what else we've got here. There's no release date on it. There's no special features or anything like that. I would love if they got John Cusack to talk about this movie. Um, that would just be kind of cool to me. Next, we've got a movie straight out of my childhood, coming soon on 4K UHD. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Sandler, Happy Gilmore. I don't think this movie needs any introduction. I've seen this movie so many damn times. I've quoted this movie so many times in my life that I can't imagine we reach this day where Happy Gilmore is getting a 4K UHD release. Happy days are here again. This is straight out of my childhood. Adam Sandler, such a big part of my childhood. Steven and I kind of gushed over him a little bit when I think Little Nicky was announced. I think from Shout that Shout gave it a release, and we talked about how that movie was straight out of our childhood as well as the other Adam Sandler stuff. You can say what you want about Adam Sandler, but back in the '90s, it was a fun time. It was a fun time. This is the movie where he attempts to be a pro golfer because he can hit the ball 400 yards. The movie stars Julie Bowen. The late great Carl Weathers is in the movie as well. We got who else is in it? Bob Barker, the late Bob Barker, uh, Christopher McDonald. Um, this is actually getting a sequel right now. They're shooting the sequel right now for Netflix. So this is probably going to come out right in time for that. I hope. I mean, Kino, time this right. Listen to me, Kino. Listen to me. Time this right to when the sequel's coming out, so you can kind of jump on that bandwagon and you can capitalize on that. Come on. But next we've got a another William Friedkin film in Bug. Bug is getting a 4K UHD release on November 26th. This has already gotten a Blu-ray release from Imprint. I have it in my collection on my shelf over there. Um, this was announced a while ago, and then it was kind of quietly canceled. Then, unfortunately, William Friedkin passed away, and then I guess it was quietly put back on the Kino schedule, I guess. So there we go. There we go. Bug. This is the movie starring Ashley Judd, Michael Shannon, Harry Connick Jr. This movie is a trip. It is a trip of a movie. It came out in 2006. Just watch it. Just watch the movie. I had it on a used DVD, and the DVD froze on me while I was watching it for the first time, which was unfortunate. I had to like get rid of the DVD because it had scratches on it or something. It was a used DVD, but I've since, of course, now upgraded to the Blu-ray, and this 4K is going to be interesting as well. Let me see what we got for special features for it. Oh, we got some stuff. Audio commentary by William Friedkin. That's enough to sell me. And if that didn't sell you enough, there's a discussion with William Friedkin that's 28 minutes long. And then there's an introduction feature right here as well. There's a 2-disc edition. Those special features are on the second disc. Let's move along now to big box set coming in. Big box set flying in. Look out, people. On the Road with Hope and Crosby, 1940 to 1962. This is a Bing Crosby and Bob Hope box set. And we've got Road to Singapore, Road to Zanzibar, Road to Morocco, Road to Utopia, Road to Bali, Road to Rio, and the Road to Hong Kong. They were in many films together, and this is a box set of many of those movies. And this is a cool box set, really cool box set. If you're a fan of them, if you're a fan of like road comedies, if you're a fan of just comedies in general, Bob Hope and Bing Crosby together were quite a pair on screen. This has audio commentary for Road to Morocco by film historian Jack Theakston. Audio commentary for Road to Utopia by filmmaker Greg Ford and film and Wall Street Journal reviewer Will Friedwald, and then audio commentary Road to Bali by film historians Michael Schlesinger and Mark Evanier, and audio commentary for The Road to Hong Kong by filmmaker historian Michael Schlesinger as well. Yeah, this is a nice box set. It's one of their nice box sets coming out November 26th. Let's see, Triumph of the Spirit I talked about last time, I think, coming out November 12th. Then we got 2 films here. Don't know why they grouped them together. I guess because they're both kind of westerns. California and Cattle Drive. California stars Ray Milland, Barbara Stanwyck, and Barry Fitzgerald. Cattle Drive stars Joel McRae, Dean Stockwell, and Chill Wills. Hold on, let me see. Did I get to watch? I forgot which ones I watched. Let me check my letterboxd real quick. Please excuse me. So I did watch California, but I didn't watch Cattle Drive. So California. Wicked Lily Bishop joins a wagon train to California led by Michael Fabian and Johnny Trumbo. But news of the gold rush scatters the train. When Johnny and Michael finally arrive, Lily is rich with her saloon and storekeeper. Former slaver Pharaoh Coffin is bleeding the miners dry, but worse troubles are ahead. California is inching towards statehood, and certain people want to make it their private empire. So you've got a kind of a drama romance thing going on here with Ray Milland and Barbara Stanwyck. Little antagonistic, antagonism becomes romance, if you will. But with the backdrop of the gold rush of the 1840s, I believe. And not only the gold rush, but the fact that California may or may not become a state. That plays into the politics of it all. And you got some people taking advantage of that situation, not taking advantage of the situation. Drama ensues. It's a fine film. It's directed by John Farrow. John Farrow is kind of a workman's director. He directed Night of a Thousand Eyes. He directed Where Danger Lives. He directed Hondo with John Wayne. He directed His Kind of Woman. He directed Alias Nick Beale. He directed Calcutta, China, California. He directed Red Mountain as well, Botany Bay. Kind of a workman's director. Cool. And like I said, I didn't see Cattle Drive, but if Joel McRae's in it, I'm going to eventually watch it anyway. Nothing in here when it comes to what the special features are. They didn't really announce them here. me see if I can go to their website and see if it says anything. Yeah, it just says trailers. That is it. Big to do about nothing. I guess is they didn't put much effort into these films. Yep, just no special features whatsoever on these two. Let's see. Harrison Flowers I talked about in a previous episode of Chasing Labels. Then coming soon on Blu-ray. Get it together, people. Here we go. Starring John Wayne, Susan Hayward. We have one of the worst movies ever made, The Conqueror from 1956, directed by Dick Powell. This is the movie where John Wayne was cast to play Genghis Khan. Yes, that Genghis Khan. The one and only Genghis Khan, the historical figure from Mongolia, portrayed by John Wayne. So John Wayne, one of the worst miscasts of all time. The whole movie's whitewashed to oblivion. And I understand it's 1956, it's Hollywood, it's what they did at the time. Um, I mean, those practices are actually still done to this day, unfortunately, in various ways. But my goodness, the movie itself is also not good. It's frankly not good. The dialogue from John Wayne is hilarious and baffling because you don't really believe at for 1 second what he's saying. And the movie's trying to be like an epic Cecil B. DeMille type of situation. And I'll say this, there are some like sequences, large scale sequences that are very well done, that are very well shot. There are some sequences of choreographed dancing that are also very well done. But the movie in and of itself is just not good. Like it's truly like bafflingly bad at some point. And obviously just magnanimously racist. Like goodness gracious, there's whitewashing, but then there's this movie. It's just bad. And of course, the history of whitewashing is, like I said, it's commonplace in Hollywood. It's been commonplace for many, many years. But it's unfortunate that they at that time John Wayne could do anything he wanted, and he wanted to do this movie, and they let him do it. They let him do it. This movie also has the unfortunate history of being shot near a near a radiation testing site. It's notorious for that. It's notorious for them shooting in an area of New Mexico where they shouldn't have, uh, because of how dangerous and how radioactive it was. And I don't know if they just didn't understand that radiation poisoning was a serious thing, or if they just thought they were far enough away that they would be okay. I didn't dig in too deep on the making of the movie to know that, but of the 220 crew members, 91 of them developed cancer at some point in their lifetime, and they attribute it to them to being so close to this nuclear testing site um, during the making of this movie. Oh, Utah, sorry. No, hold on. Let's see. No, not Utah. Let's see. Oh yeah, it was Nevada. Sorry, they were downwind of Nevada. They were downwind of a Nevada national security site and received a brunt of nuclear fallout from the testing active in this period. In this period, it's not like it was years ago. During that time, during the time in the making of the movie, my goodness, um, I can tell you, any type of exposure to radiation, even small amounts, is hazardous to your health. And I know that we use radiation to treat various cancers and diseases and things like that. I myself have gone through radiation treatments to treat cancer and things like that. But though the radiation treatments are very harmful to your health, it is the reason why I have a lot of health issues to this day. Is probably based off of the the radiation treatments and things like that because of cancer and things like that. So even in small concentrated medicinal doses, it has negative effects health wise. But to be downwind of something like that, um, was probably incredibly hazardous to those people's health. Now, did it lead directly to all of them getting cancer? Could perhaps. I mean, there are when it comes to cancer, there are various ways in which one can get various different forms of it. You know what I'm saying? It really would all depend on certain circumstances, but being that close to something is obviously hazardous to one's health. So this movie is notorious for that, for people getting sick because of that. And just the movie itself not being good. But it's getting a Blu-ray release. It's getting a Blu-ray release from Kino. Here we go. So I thought I would definitely make mention of that. Just fascinating, fascinating stuff. And then of course, coming soon on 4K UHD is you can't have Happy Gilmore without having Billy Madison. Billy Madison from 1995, starring Adam Sandler, Bridget Wilson, Bradley Whitford, Norm Macdonald is in the movie, the late Norm Macdonald. Steve Buscemi is in a small role in it. Chris Farley? I can't remember where Chris Farley was in. Oh, he's the bus driver. Yeah, he's the bus driver. Oh my goodness. Another movie that was on cable so much as a kid. I have it on DVD, but I've been wanting to upgrade to the Blu-ray for years, but now I'm just going to wait for the 4K. Just going to wait for the 4K. This is the famous film where uh, to prove to his father that he can take over his company and inherit his company someday, he's going to go back to school and do 2 weeks of each grade and pass each grade starting from kindergarten all the way up through high school to prove that he can take over his father's company. But Bradley Whitford is kind of the scummy guy who wants to take over his father's company instead, so he's got to like battle him for it and stuff. Yeah, it's a fun movie. It's really, again, something straight out of my childhood. Next, we have the movie called The Lonely Man of 1957, starring Jack Palance and Anthony Perkins. Jack Palance and Anthony Perkins portray a father-son duo. A father-son duo in a Western. There's an audio commentary here by Toby Rohn. That's it when it comes to special features. Brand new HD master by Paramount from a 6K scan of the 35mm This Division original camera negative. Holy heck, that's a lot to say there. But this is a movie where they are estranged from one another. Jack Palance has been, I think he's like a gunfighter or a criminal or something. He's been on the run for all of Anthony Perkins' life until he shows up one day and wants to reconnect with him. And Jack Palance has a history that is basically going to catch up with him because no one trusts him. No one will let them stay in any town. No one wants them around because of his past. And of course, we get certain reveals about his past and stuff like that and whatnot. I thought it was a really good Western. I thought Jack Palance was really good in it. I thought Perkins was really good in it. I really liked it. I really liked the movie. That is coming out November 19th. And then I think I'll cut it here, just in the interest of time. There's a few more Kino releases, but I'll cut it here just so I can get to the Vinegar Syndrome stuff before I run out of voice stuff. If you've been sticking with me for this long, I am 2.5 hours in. So thank you for sticking with me. If you haven't stuck with me yet, if you're watching on the replay, thanks for watching. If you're listening to it on audio and you're 2.5 hours in, thank you for sticking with me. We are on the home stretch. Finally, we are on the Vinegar Syndrome and partner labels portion of the show. This is the reason why I pushed the show from our usual Monday slot to Wednesday, so I could include October 1st, which was Tuesday, include these announcements, go through a couple of these announcements, see what I could watch, and to see what we could talk about. Because I didn't want to wait 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks would have been too long to wait to talk about these, because by that point, I think everybody's interest would have moved on to something else. Let me get some water here to, gear up for this. So let us gear up for this. This is the Vinegar Syndrome. Which slate are we on here? October. Yes, October slate. And we've got, I believe, 6 films straight up from them properly. We've got The Tenant, Corpse Mania, The Ghost Dance. We have Forgotten Gialli Volume 7, which has 3 films in it. Let me get a list of those 3 films really quickly while we're here. Um, hmm. Never make it easy on me, do they? We have Mystery, or Mystère. We have, yeah. Oh, they really don't make this easy on me. Oh, we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this. Just because I'm my eyes are getting lost in the 3 films. Actually, hold on. Let me see if I can look at no. It looks like Mystère, Taste for Fear. No, I'm just gonna read this whole paragraph because it's. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Mystère is one of Rome's top call girls whose clients range from political elites to mysterious executives. Um, Political leads to business executives. Her friend Pamela, another prostitute, steals an expensive lighter from a recent client only to be mysteriously murdered shortly thereafter. When Mystère discovers that not only has Pamela been killed, but also the client for whom she stole the lighter, she realizes that her own life might be in danger. A fear quickly validated when she narrowly survives an assassination attempt. Desperate to figure out why she and Pamela were targeted, she finds an ally in Inspector Colt, who has been tasked with solving the crimes. But as their investigation deepens, it becomes clear that the seemingly ordinary lighter holds a potentially deadly secret. Huh. I guess it is only a mistake. Hold on. Yeah, I thought it was like 3 films. I guess it's only 1 film. Sorry, I'm just absolutely baffled. Hold on. Let me go check. Sorry, this is absolutely killing the momentum here. Yeah, Forgotten Gialli Volume. Yeah, no, that's 3 movies. Hmm. I'm completely baffled by this release. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't scroll down far enough. So we have Mystère, Obsession, A Taste for Fear, Sweets from a Stranger. Those are the 3 films we have in here. I'm sorry because usually they don't do this. I was I, I'm sorry. My mind is completely gone. So usually they kind of group everything into one like paragraph and they'll talk about each film in one paragraph. Then when you get down to the details on the Vinegar Syndrome website, they'll kind of they'll kind of like group a lot of the details together. what they did for this, which is what they should have done a long time ago, they made them separate. So like Mystère and like the other two films are all separate. So if anything, it was organized so much, it was organized so well, I didn't even realize it. So I'm sorry, I apologize. So you do get three films in this um, Forgotten Gialli Volume 7 set. Um, and those three films are once again Mystère, Obsession, A Taste for Fear, and then Sweets from a Stranger. These are all from the 1980s. Um, let me see. Since I did um, Obsession, A Taste of Fear, a set in a semi-futuristic technology-infused world, Diane is a top photographer for erotic and fashion magazines whose sexually liberated lifestyle carries over to her work. However, when Diane's newest model, the statuesque Tegan, is found murdered on her set, suspicion falls not only on Diane, but her entire production crew and other models. While Inspector Arnold initially assumes the killer is a nerdy technician, a second murder, which is captured on video, reveals the assailant to be a beautiful woman. Uh-oh. And then we've got Sweets from a Stranger, a bicycle riding, razor wielding killer is stalking and slashing Rome's ladies of the night. Stella, who has risen above the level of streetwalker and now works as a high class escort, is shocked when she learns that a dear friend has become the maniac's latest victim. Disgusted by the failure of the police to either find the killer or even protect other women, she hatches her own plan to help fellow prostitutes organize and learn self defense, in the hopes that their own actions will lead to the culprit's unmasking. So that is Sweets from a Stranger. All right, now I can move on. So after the Forgotten Gialli Volume 7, there is Mindbenders from their VSA release, and then another VSA release is Dial D for Demons, and then their cinematograph release is Shanks. And Shanks is the one I want to concentrate on right now. This is a William Castle film from 1974. I believe it is William Castle's last film. For those of you who have the William Castle box sets from Indicator, you may want to get this release as well, just because you continue your William Castle collections. This is a interesting movie. Malcolm Shanks, who is portrayed by Marcel Marceau, is a deaf-mute reclusive puppeteer who lives with his overbearing sister and her lush of a husband, Mr. Barton. The only source of joy in his harsh world is his puppets, which is noticed by a beguiling inventor named Dr. Baker, also played by Marceau, who promptly offers him a job as his assistant. Upon Dr. Baker's sudden death, Shanks discovers that he can, with the aid of electrodes, reanimate the dead and bring in new reality to their experiments. The, the final film from gimmick-prone American genre film icon William Castle. So this movie is weird. It is weird. It's darkly comedic. It's dark in general. It's sad. It's funny. It's trippy. There are sequences in here that are like acid trips. It's surreal, like I said, at times. What an interesting movie. Definitely one of William Castle's more interesting films in terms of him pushing not even the gimmicks, but pushing like what the movie's trying to do, what the movie's trying to be. Specifically when it's told in the style of almost a Charlie Chaplin film, because we have a character who can't speak, and because he has to be incredibly physical. The movie also has intertitle cards as well, so you get that silent movie feel too. And the score is very prominent in the film as well. The score is very good. What an interesting movie to put out. And what an interesting movie to watch from a modern day perspective, looking back at cinema in general. So I am fascinated by this movie. It's a 2-disc set, got a new audio commentary with film historians Kim Newman and Barry Forshaw, new interview with producer Stephen North, No Words for the Dead, reanimating William Castle, visual language and the path to Shanks, a new video essay by Daniel Kramer, Marcel Marceau on Shanks, an archival interview with the actor, and then vintage radio spots. There's a new New essays by Heather Drain, film critic Alexandra Heller Nicholas, our friend, and then film professor Murray Leader, editor of Refocus, the films of William Castle, and then English subtitles. What an interesting movie. Not entirely, I wouldn't even call it a great movie, just fascinating. Fascinating. Definitely one I'm going to be adding to my collection. Definitely one. This is a 4K UHD release too. Just want to add that. I think one that a lot of people are excited about. I'll talk about it briefly. Is the Tenant, the Roman Polanski film. This is the one. This is the one he did in 1976. I think this is the last film he did before he went into exile. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is. I've had the DVD in my collection for a while. I'm actually looking at it across the room now. I can see it. It's an old, I think, Paramount DVD. So luckily, I guess, luckily for some, it's getting a 4K upgrade. Let me see what yeah, so this is a movie starring Roman Polanski about somebody who's moving into a new apartment building, a new apartment complex, and the previous tenant, I believe, had committed suicide. And it doesn't seem to bother him much, but it may seem to bother him soon because as he's staying there, the longer he stays there, the weirder things become. The weirder the other tenants start acting towards him and start acting, and it becomes kind of unsettling, becomes kind of uh unhinged, may become, maybe start to become violent. So it's getting slower and slower that things are becoming unglued, if you will. So it's a slow burn of a movie. It's very much in kind with his film Repulsion, the film starring Catherine Deneuve, which also primarily takes place in an apartment, and it's about a woman who's kind of slowly losing her mind in that film as well. So this film is very much a companion piece to that, but of course, this is after he had done Chinatown. Um, I and this is a good film. I remember liking this film a lot. This film also stars Melvin Douglas, Shelley Winters, Isabella Johnny is in the film as well. It's shot by Sven Nykvist, who shot The Cries and Whispers. So it looks good, and it looks good. But what do we got here for special features? Newly scanned and restored in 4K from its 35 millimeter original camera negative, presented in original English language mono soundtrack. There's a French dub here as well. Commentary with film historians Troy Howarth and Nathaniel Thompson, excuse me. Paranoid in Paris, an interview with co-writer slash director Polanski himself. Waiting for the Tenant interview with actor Andre Penvern. Room to Let, author and film historian Stephen Thrower on the Tenant. Invisible Performer, an interview with assistant cameraman Francois Catonnet. Keeping Continuity, an interview with script supervisor Sylvette Boudreau. Audio interview with co-writer Roland Topper. Interview with co-writer Gerard Brock. These are both done by journalist Frederic Levy. One's 6 minutes, one's 5 minutes, and a visit to the locations of the tenant. Now, obviously, the elephant in the room is if you're not a fan of Roman Polanski, I understand entirely. If you are a fan, whatever, you know what I mean? If you have movies in your collection from him, I have some of his stuff from the Criterion collection. I've got Rosemary's Baby, I've got Cul-de-sac, um, I've got the other film. I can't see it, it's all the way down there. But anywho, Chinatown, I understand. Um, I mean, if you feel uncomfortable owning his films, I understand. If you watch his movies and have them in your collection, I also understand. Um, so if you want this release, go ahead. If you don't want it, then you don't want it. What are you gonna do? I'm not gonna tell people what they can and cannot collect when it comes to their own collections, because I wouldn't want them to do the same thing to me. But I understand. I think this is a nice release, though. It's a nice release from Vinegar Syndrome. So those are the two main ones I would definitely be interested in. Would be Shanks from Cinematograph. The Forgotten Gialli, Volume 3 sounds interesting. Volume 7 now. And then the Tenant from Roman Polanski. That's getting a 4K UHD release. The other movies I don't really know a lot about. I didn't know a lot about the Forgotten Gialli, but I always like those sets. I don't have any of those sets, and then by this point, most of them are out of print. At least their limited edition ones are out of print. Um, and finding those to hunt them down, it can be expensive. Can be expensive. But let's move on to my favorite part of the Vinegar Syndrome announcements every single month, and I am no stranger to saying that, and I've said it every time, is the partner labels. This is where you find the gems. This is where you find the roses in the garden. This is the diamonds in the rough, if you will. If I can quote Aladdin. This is some good stuff in here. And I was able to watch a couple of them. Like I said, I only had one day, kind of one night. I did like a 6 movie marathon last night of as much of the stuff as I could. I was fortunate enough to have already seen 2 of these movies, so that helped. But we got 21 partner label announcements for October. OCN working overtime, if you will. Justin La Liberty is the man behind all of this. So shout out to him for doing all this stuff all the time. His shelves must be filled with all of this good stuff. So let me uh, list all of these off, and then I'll go over the ones that I found interesting or the ones I got to see. First off, our buddies over at Canadian International Pictures did a movie called Abducted. Shudder is coming out with a movie called Attachment. I think you can stream it on their service right now. Film Movement doing a lot of things. They were coming out with a movie called Coma. American Genre Film Archive, or AGFA for short, for all the cool kids. The Cult of AGFA trailer show. So it is like 76, 78 minutes of trailers of AGFA films. That's what that is. And then there's a bunch of like short films in here as well. And well, actually, by a bunch, I mean like 3. But it's the uncut versions of the trailers, and it's like a mixtape. It's like edited together as a mixtape. And there's a commentary on it by the people over at AGFA too. That's kind of cool. That's kind of a nice little thing. But the catalog is putting out Dude Bro Party Massacre 3. I can already say that the limited edition of that is sold out, and with the down to the standard editions. We have Dark Stars putting out Fear.com. Shudder is putting out the Found Footage Phenomenon. Our buddies, Sarah Appleton and Philip Escott. This is their movie. We had Sarah Appleton and Phil Escott on our podcast at separate times. We had Sarah on, I think, for episode number 50. We had Sarah on for episode number 50. Let me go check back in. So we do keep track of these things, kind of. Kind of. So Sarah was back on episode 50, and then Phil Escott, who of course works over at Second Sight. He's a producer over at Second Sight who's been kicking ass over there. I tell you what, he was on episode number 74 of Chasing Labels. Awesome to see them get their movie on physical media. And this is, of course, their documentary about the found footage phenomenon. All of those movies that came out from the Blair Witch Project on, that kind of kicked off uh, this whole subgenre of horror films of found footage films. Paranormal Activity, of course, I mentioned the Blair Witch Project, but all of those types of movies. Really cool documentary. Really cool documentary. This is already sold out of the limited editions. It was only limited to 1,000 units, and now we're down to the standard editions. But I'm assuming places like Diabolic and Orbit DVD will still be getting their limited edition stock at some point. I know Orbit DVD right now is back up and running. Their website not quite back up and running yet, but the store is. If you know, over the last week, many places in various states were hit with a hurricane or hurricane-like weather, and it destroyed a lot of places, and a lot of places got flooded, and people have passed away, people have out of house and home, all this kind of stuff. And Asheville, which is where Orbit DVD is located, was hit really, really hard. And I know Mark over at Orbit, he gave us an update a few days afterward that they didn't have like power or water and stuff like or phone or anything like that, but the store was fine, and he and all the employees are fine, which is the most important part. But as of 2 days later, they got power back up and running. and they just sent out all their orders of the pre-orders of the Hitcher. So hats off to Orbit DVD. Even during hurricane and destruction type circumstances, they served us as collectors and as movie lovers to get out our orders. That's kind of amazing. Their site's not up yet because I think they're just trying to keep up with all the orders that they weren't able to do when they were down. But keep your eyeballs on their site for the upcoming Vinegar Syndrome and also the upcoming stuff as well. Really buy from them because that's pretty awesome to get all that stuff out on time or not even or just in general, really. But back to this. Um, the found footage phenomenon. Sarah Appleton, Philip S. Scott, found footage films. They interview a bunch of people in here. It's a really cool documentary. It was on Shutter. I think it still is available to stream on Shutter. So check that out. We got a new interview with both Sarah Appleton and Philip S. Scott on here. Some deleted footage. There's a booklet essay here by film critic Sam Cohen. Cool, awesome. Glad to see they got their stuff. Good thing happened to good people. Um, so after that, XYZ Films is putting out "Give Me an A." This is a um, this is a film that's kind of an anthological film. I think it's comprised of a bunch of short films. Yeah, it's 17 filmmakers, and they all made, I believe, sequences or segments of this film in reaction to the overturning of Roe versus Wade when it comes to abortion rights and things like that. So yes, it's 17 films, 17 filmmakers, one Supreme Court ruling, a countless number of women. Give Me an A is an urgent and passionate response from a group of women committed to protecting or securing their right to privacy, bodily autonomy, and healthcare. From satire to horror to science fiction, these films are a unified voice that tells the world how they feel about the overturning of Roe versus Wade. This is 110 minutes long, so I'm assuming divide that up by 17, you get a series of short films. And it's directed by many different people here. Natasha Halevi, Meg Svertlo, Bonnie DeCepolo, Dana J.K., Erica Mary Wright, Monica Moore Suriage, Sarah Kopkin, Caitlin Hargraves, Megan Rosati, Hannah Aline, Avital Ash, Mary C. Russell, Valerie Finkel, Kelly Nygaard, Lauren Escondon, and Francesca Maldonado. It's starring people like Alyssa Milano, Virginia Madsen, Gina Torres, Melina Vaitraub, Jennifer Holland, Sean Gunn, Molly C. Quinn, people like that. And obviously an incredibly important topic, an incredibly historical event that happened over the last few years, and an incredibly cruel event, I would say. Anytime you're taking rights away from people, in any regard is upsetting, especially one regarding health and bodily autonomy and things like that, and anything that's done in an attempt to oppress people, I'm entirely against. I mean, so yeah, this is a very interesting film. I believe it's streaming on Tubi too, so it is available to stream on there. But moving on from there, Saturn's Core is putting out Gut Pile. Bleeding Skull is putting on a movie called In Memoriam, which is actually, I believe, a found footage film in the vein of Paranormal Activity. I think someone's terminally ill and dying from cancer. Sorry, and they also believe that there's a presence around them, so they're trying to use paranormal activity type of activities. That's how do I want to say? They're using paranormal activity actions to detect it. It's not a documentary. I think it's a narrative film, but still, it's fascinating. That is what you're going to spend your final days doing is something like that. Next, we have a movie called Carnal, put out by Connie. Then we have Kid Thing, put out by Factory 25. Magnolia Pictures is putting out Murder Party. This is the first film by Jeremy Saulnier, who has a new film out currently on Netflix called Rebel Ridge. He, of course, directed Blue Ruin as well as Green Room. VHS Hit Fest is putting out a movie called Night. Connie's putting out another release. This is a double feature of Plastic and Yamato, and these are two films by I think it's let's see, the director is Daisuke Miyazaki. Daisuke Miyazaki. One film came out in 2016, and the other came out in 2023. Let's see. Next, we have a documentary. ETR Media is putting out Power of Grayskull, the definitive history of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. This is currently streaming on Peacock. I almost watched it in time for this, but I thought I could just mention that it's a documentary about He-Man and people would kind of get it. Film Movement Classics is putting out Red Peony Gambler 1, 2, and 3. I think this is a re-release from them. Yes, I believe it is. And IFC Films is putting out the Snowtown Murders. Now, this is a movie that was put out on Blu-ray by 101 a few years ago. I think during their Black Label line. I think it was a Black Label line number 24. They put out a collector's edition, and then they put out a standard edition a year after that. This is a dark, unsettling movie. I wrote a letterboxd review of this movie back in 2016 about how disturbed I was by the film. It's a movie that takes place in Australia. I'll read the synopsis here because I think it's an interesting kind of film. Based on horrifying crimes in Snowtown, Australia in 1999, The Snowtown Murders is a stark journey into a brutal subculture of suspicion, addiction, and violence. Hoping for much-needed stability and security in their lives, embattled mother Elizabeth and her three sons take up with John, the self-appointed moral compass of a vigilante neighborhood watch group. John's charismatic nature causes 16-year-old Jamie to view the older man as a role model, and the two quickly strike up a bond. But when John introduces Jamie to his disturbing ideas of administering justice, the impressionable youth is confronted with a father figure who may be the most vicious predator he's encountered yet. Winner of the Special Jury Prize at the Cannes Critics Week, Justin Kurzel's directorial debut is an uncompromising look at these alarming circumstances that led to the notorious crimes. So, yeah, this movie's called either Snowtown or the Snowtown Murders, depending on, I guess, where you live, and depending on how you search it on Blu-ray.com or various other places like that. Justin Kurzel is a director I'm aware of. He directed, and I will say this, one of my favorite adaptations of Shakespeare's Macbeth in the 2015 Macbeth film. That I think I'm one of the few only people who really love that movie. And this is the movie that starred Michael Fassbender as Macbeth, Marion Cotillard as Lady Macbeth, Patty Considine was Banquo, um, Sean Harris was Macduff, Jack Rayner was Malcolm, Elizabeth Debicki was Lady Macduff. Let's see, David Thewlis was King Duncan in it. This movie was, I still to this day think this movie is utterly mesmerizing. I love it. This movie's my vibe. It is art house. It is surreal. It is everything to me personally. Not to everyone. I understand that. I'm a unique breed in that regard. But I really liked Justin Kurzel's take on Macbeth. And Snowtown Murders is also really good as well, but definitely disturbing as heck. He also did the Assassin's Creed movie, that adaptation, which I know many people do not like. I can understand that. But this movie here has a new audio commentary with critic Simon Abrams, new video essay by Sam Deegan, new booklet writing by Alexandra Helen Nicholas. Good to see, always good to see her. She's all over these shows. She really is. She's great. The Boy from Gawler, an interview with director Justin Kurzel, commentary with director Justin Kurzel, deleted scenes with commentary by him, original casting footage, the Snowtown Crimes featurette, because like I said, based on a true story. Yeah, I haven't seen this movie since 2016, and it would be a tough rewatch. It would be a tough rewatch, I could say. Next is a movie from Yellow Veil Pictures called Swallowed. Not the same movie that came out back in 2020. Different movie. Different movie. And then next and last is from Film Movement. That is Zombie Child. Um, but also there's a movie. Oh, the one I skipped over by accident. Film Movement Classics is putting out The Reflecting Skin. This was the last movie I watched in my 6 movie marathon last night to prepare for just this segment, and this is a good movie. This is a movie I had never seen before. Actually, I never heard of it. And I got some comments on my Facebook um, page that I was watching it that people really like this movie. It's directed by Philip Ridley, and I don't think I had ever seen any of his other films. No, I had never seen any of his other movies. But it stars Viggo Mortensen. He's kind of the main person people will know of, and it's a young Viggo Mortensen. This is like Viggo Mortensen in his early 30s, very young. But this is a kind of a quasi coming of age film. The Reflecting Skin. A young boy tries to cope with rural life circa the 1950s, and his fantasies become a way to interpret events. After his father tells him stories of vampires, he becomes convinced that the widow up the road is a vampire and tries to find ways of discouraging his brother from seeing her. Um, it's one of those movies where it takes you to a time and a place that feels so distant and so alienating and so far away that you don't think it's real. But in fact, it does. It is, and in fact, the feelings that are brought up within this movie are feelings that are so universal that they can transcend directly to this day. That they are feelings in films that they are feelings within the film that really, really just they capture you on a personal level. There's this young boy who's just in a rural, not Dust Bowl, because the farm is working, but rural farmland. His mother is incredibly abusive to him. His father is kind of lackadaisical and doesn't really not really a strong figure. And the brother seemingly had gotten out of this situation, this dead end nothing situation, where this is one of those situations where you're born here, you live here, you're gonna die here. It just there's no upward mobility in life whatsoever unless you get out, get out. And I believe Viggo Mortensen had gotten out through military service, and then he comes back, and obviously he's different, obviously he's changed. There's some circumstances and reason why he comes back, and the young brother idolizes him, and so you get some of that thematic stuff in there. But there's this movie that Criterion has put out called Spirit of the Beehive, only available on DVD. Why there's no Blu-ray of it yet is a mystery to me. Is a mystery to me. But it reminded me of that film a lot. It reminds me of something in that vein of this exploration of boyhood or childhood, really, and what it's and kind of the growing pains of that, but kind of the growing pains when you're kind of growing to nowhere. It's a brilliant film. It really is really good film. Um, yeah, I don't want to say too much about the plot, other than there's a lot of things going on in this movie. There's just a lot, too much to get into without spoiling it. Check it out if you can. It is streaming. Where's it streaming? It's streaming on Hoopla. It's available to rent. It's streaming on Peacock as well. It is streaming on, I think Amazon Prime has it, Roku Channel has it, Tubi has it. Like I said, Canopy has it, Plex has it, Freebie has it. Everybody's got it apparently. But I want this Blu-ray. Like this is kind of definitely one I want to get. I can't recommend it enough. Unfortunately, you don't get much in the way of special features. Angels and Atom Bombs, the making of the Reflecting Skin featurette, director's commentary with writer-director Philip Ridley, and the new essay by film writers Travis Crawford and Heather Heish. Um, That's it. That is it. But the movie's worthwhile. The movie's worthwhile. Let me talk about another movie that's similar in that vein, and that is the one that's being put out by Factory 25, and that is Kid Thing. This is a movie from 2012. Um, I believe the Reflecting Skin was 1992. 1992, I want to say. Let me make sure about that. Um, yes, 1990. Sorry, even earlier than I thought. But Factory 25 is exploring those similar themes of lost adolescence, of stagnant adolescence, but from a somewhat more modern lens, I would say. So, Annie is a rebellious 10-year-old girl. She lives on the outskirts of town with her father, Marvin, who, when not herding goats, mostly sleeps the day away. Virtually devoid of parental guidance, Annie is left to fend for herself and do as she pleases, with no moral compass. She roams the neighboring lands, shoplifting, engaging in general destructive behavior. Her routine is broken one day while playing in the woods. She hears an old woman calling from deep within an abandoned well asking for help. Scared and untrusting of the unseen stranger, Annie deliberates on her course of action. This movie is directed by David Zellner. David Zellner and Nathan Zellner are a brother directing duo who directed Sasquatch Sunset, which just came out. I think it came out earlier this year. And then they also directed Kamiko the Treasure Hunter, which came out back in 2014. Underrated movie. No one talks about it. Kamiko the Treasure Hunter. Seek it out if you will. Uh, well, seek it out, please. Seek it out by my will, I guess. But uh, this movie is very much about stagnant adolescence. Like I said, this child, no parental structure, no structure whatsoever, and you want some type of freedom in your life, you want some type of independence in your life, even at the young age, even children at certain age, but still something there to latch on to when you need it is important for children. It's important for everyone, really, having something to rely on. When there's nothing there, you're just drifting through life, you know what I mean? You're just kind of drifting and fading away, and it's a tough life to live in that regard. And this young girl who is at that age where you're not quite a young child anymore, but you haven't hit adolescence yet. You haven't hit the teenage years yet. You're nowhere near adulthood. So you're kind of stuck in this no person's land where you're just passing the days away, passing the days away. And this young girl kind of takes out those days and just doing kind of delinquent child type stuff, stealing from a local convenience store, throwing rocks at cars, and you know, going to playgrounds and being mischievous with other children and walking around the woods. And then one day she finds a voice in a well. But as we're watching the film, is the voice real or is it not? Is it meaning it doesn't mean something else? Is it something that is is there more going on here thematically? I mean, um, for a movie that is carried entirely by the performance of a child actor, it's I found it to be rather good, rather good. And also, like I said, getting into all those themes. But don't go into this movie thinking it's got a strong plot. It really doesn't. It's very much carried by its themes. The movie's only 83 minutes long, so it obviously moves at a decent pace. But it's good. It is very good. Let me see where I saw this. Let me go check my letterboxd. Let me get rid of that. Try and let me getting rid of some tabs here that I do not need anymore. Let's see. So Kid Thing is streaming on Canopy. That's where I watch it. I watch it on Canopy, which you can sign up through your local library. May or may not have it. They either have that or they have Hoopla. So one of the two. Mine has Canopy. Let's see. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Let's see what else we're going to talk about here before we end the show. I wanted to keep it under 3 hours, but I lied to all of you because we are past the 3 hour mark. We are at 3 hours and 18 minutes. So that is what it is. It's an extra long episode. I understand if you can't listen to it all, can't watch it all, as long as you stick with us for as long as you're able to. Um, let's see. Like I said, Murder Party, Jeremy Saulnier's first film. Um, super low budget, kind of campy horror. Came out in 2007. A guy goes to like a Halloween party, and it turns out that it's just a setup for him to be captured, and like and for them to like steal his money and stuff. But the people there are kind of inept fools. Uh, uh that's kind of the movie. It very much the movie. Let's see. I know a lot of people really, really like this movie called Dude Party Massacre 3. I did watch it. It is streaming on Tubi, and it is a satire to the extreme. It's a satirical twist on the gory and sexually charged 1980s slasher genre. Dude Bro Party Massacre 3 is presented as the only surviving VHS copy of the reviled horror franchise's third and final installment. The movie is made to look like it is a VHS tape unearthed from an 80s archive. So it's in 4:3. The quality's bad. Someone taped it off of TV, so you get like fake TV commercials in there as well. It goes for it. There's no Dude Party Massacre 1 and 2. This is the only movie, and there's a little recap of the events of the first two movies in at the beginning, and it's just wild, fun, zany. The movie kind of overstays its welcome, kind of overdoes the gimmick, I think, like to death, like no pun intended. But there's this like slasher killer going around called, oh god, Motherface. I think it's called Motherface. And yeah, Motherface, and just going around killing all these like frat boys and college kids and whatnot. And you get some surprise cameos in here, like Patton Oswalt shows up at one point. The movie's just wildly inept. Like it's supposed to be bad, and intentionally so, and it is, but it's a lot of fun. It's something to watch like late at night and have a good laugh about it. But we do get a brand new audio commentary with cast members, brand new audio commentary with directors. It came from the internet, the making of Dude Bro Party Massacre 3, and an all new 4-part documentary featuring cast and crew members, deleted scenes, 5-second films, supercut, 5-second films, supercut, 18 minutes long, then trailers and such. That's actually already down to standard editions. That's already down to standard editions. What else was already down to standard editions? No, that was the one I want to talk about. I feel like there's one more thing I want to talk about. Oh, Fear.com. I remember when this movie came out back in 2002. It stars Stephen Dorff, and I didn't know how like not liked this movie was until I went on to Letterboxd and logged it so I could watch it. This movie is not liked by very many people. And after watching the movie, I can understand why. This movie was made for $40 million, and it does not look like it was. Um, it's just not very good. Um, like the premise is fine, but it tries to be Seven, but with an internet twist. And it just doesn't kind of work. It really doesn't. The movie is kind of muddled. First of all, it's one of the darkest movies I've ever seen. I couldn't tell what was happening in many scenes of the movie. That's how darkly lit the movie was. And the movie plays on this idea that you go to this website, and then it's kind of one of these sketchy, like dark web type of websites. There's like snuff films on there and just dark, just creepy, disturbing stuff on there. But after you go to that website, you die 48 hours later. Sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? Sounds like The Ring. And it's trying to be like The Ring, Grudge, all those type of kind of J horror films of that time. But an American version of that, and kind of like Seven as well. And none of it really kind of works for me. I felt so uninterested while watching the movie. Um, it's just not very good. I can understand why people don't like it. It's getting quite a release here though. There's a new 2024 retrospective commentary track with director William Malone, new academic commentary with Nathaniel Thompson and Troy Howarth, archival commentary with director William Malone and director of photography Christian Sebald. New return to the fair 2024 retrospective interview with William Malone. New Fear.com location scout. New The Making of Fear.com. New video essay The Horror of Technology by Sam Deegan. Archival stuff here as well. Booklet essay by film archivist Justin La Liberty. Hey, Justin La Liberty is here. Very cool that he's on this. I'm assuming that this movie has developed a cult, like a kind of like a cult fandom over time. I feel like that's this type of movie. As someone who's watching it for the first time in 2024, I don't think I'd ever see myself watching it again. I got all I needed to get out of it. But yeah, that's it. We are where are we? We are 3 hours and 25 minutes into Chasing Labels, spy number 149. And I think we've hit the end of the road, people. I think we've done it. That was it from a lot of people. A lot of stuff to go over. Hopefully, there will be less to go over when we reunite together in about 2 weeks' time. That episode will probably be on a Monday, back to our usually scheduled time. In between then and now, check up on here. I'll be doing some more short stuff. I got a lot of upgrades for my collection that I'm going to be talking about. The other day, I went to my local Barnes and Noble, picked up a bunch of Kino releases because of they're going from their Arrow 50% off sale to their Kino 50% off sale, and I got all these that I want to talk about in some way, shape, or form. Check out my Instagram, which I think is actually I should probably check out what my Instagram. I think it's Cabzilla, it's what the channel used to be named. Cabzilla06. That's my Instagram. That's where I post everything I get when it comes to all these releases. Let me check one more thing before we go. I wanted to do some shout outs to some people that we have working with, that we've worked with in the past, or we've talked to in the past. I know our buddy from Reverend Entertainment, Justin Beam, he's doing the special features for The Gift, if I remember correctly. Let me go to his Facebook for a second here, just so I can make sure I got the details right on that before we get going. Let's see. Yes, he did the special features for The Gift. He did the special features for Silent Night, Deadly Night. So make sure if you get those releases, you have him to thank. I think he did. Yeah, he did special features for the Demolition Man release too. From his company, Reverend Entertainment, did some special features for them as well. Let's see. And then our buddy, our buddy Scott Saslow, he did the layout and booklet design for the Great Escape. So they did the layout design, I believe, for the cover art, and I think he did the layout and he did the booklet design as well. They did the layout and booklet design for the Critters box set as well. Oh, maybe he just worked on the booklets. I think he just worked on the booklets. I don't know. I would have to ask him. Sorry, it's 3 hours into this. But yeah, I just want to give them special shout outs. And then, of course, everybody else who worked on all of these releases too that we've had here on Chasing Labels in the past. So that will be it for me here over on Chasing Labels. Recently we did our new Unwatched Pile episode with our buddy Tony Meaches from the Indicator Cast and Imprint Cast. That is up on the channel now. We did a review of some imprint releases that Steven and I got recently. That's up on the channel now as well. And yeah, there will be another Unwatched Pile at the end of October too. So keep that in mind. And yeah, that's everything. Please listen to this or watch this here on YouTube, listen to it on the audio if you have to. It can be found on Apple Podcasts and Google and Spotify and all those other places. And yeah, thank you all for joining me. We appreciate all of the support here at Chasing Labels. So keep on watching those movies because I know I will.